We can continue. Welcome, Ariana. I don't know if she can hear me yet, but welcome. Okay, so page 53 here. World War III, let it be. Welcome, Ariana. Hi.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hey, Ariana.
Glad you can make it. We're just getting started here.
Okay.
Page 53. And I volunteered to read first, so we'll have another one. Dandavat Sudarshan. He's going back into work. Okay. Always welcome, Sudarshan. Okay, World War III, let it be. Student, many people are worried about nuclear war. They think it may come very soon. Sridhar Maharaj, that is a point on a line on a plane in a solid. So many times we are coming and going. So many times the sun, yes?
So many times wars are coming and going.
So many times wars are coming and going. Thank you. So many times the sun, the earth, and the solar systems disappear and again spring up. We are in the midst of such thought in eternity. This nuclear war is a tiny point. What of that? Individuals are dying at every moment. The earth will die. The whole human section will disappear. Let it be. Does anybody have any reflections or shares?
It's the overview of the, like Gurudev used to call it, the cyclic system, like in the realm of exploitation. And as much, of course, it's very, you know, we don't want to sort of imagine such things, but we know movies are made. Of course, we're hoping that, you know, the leaders of the world don't push those buttons, but inevitably in the plane of exploitation, war and conflict, divide and conquer is a common theme here. But in saying that, so this is Srila Maharaj expressing this, and then later Srila Govinda Maharaj, they asked, oh, what do you think of the future? And he goes, oh, no possible that the world will come under Vedic rule again. So that's an indication of harmony, unity and diversity, that through the consciousness awakening in human beings, gradually we can come into avoiding such a timeline, because this timeline would mean that things go into a very contracted state. Whereas as we are progressing, and as some of us are awakening or open to the conception of expansion, love, unity and diversity, and finding harmony between different systems, political systems, cultures, seeing the unity, we can perhaps avoid that conflict. So that the masses, us, can influence the leaders, no doubt, on some level, or even our conscious development can send a wave of influence of let's harmonize rather than go into conflict. So very interesting, because ultimately the worst case scenario is there, and then of course the best case scenario is there. So we'll always tend to side with the best case scenario, but Srila Maharaj is grounding us that both timelines are possible, because in the realm of exploitation, war is generally an inevitability.
Hey, can I chime in with a question / reflection, kind of get you fired up on a line of thought? So I observed right away his response. He's saying it's a point on a line, which is saying it's not even one dimension, in one dimension. And then he's saying that line exists on a plane, which is kind of like 2 dimensions. And then that plane is in a solid. I think he's referring to 3 dimensions. So can you expand on this idea of the infinitesimal, how small he's saying this world war is?
Yeah, this is sort of reference to the multiverses. So many universes, many earth planes. Within I think I've given this example once before about the bag of mustard seeds. So if mustard seeds, if you know a mustard seed, it's very tiny, like you peel one, they're like something like that, and either black or brown mustard seeds. You cook them in oil and Indian masala. So imagine a big sack. There are millions of them inside the sack, perhaps even trillions. So universes within the material system, there are as many as that. So multiverses exist. So the conflict in one realm, it's going on, it's like a cyclic. So a line, it's a point on a line. So within the time-space continuum, so a nuclear war may be, you know, 6 months, and then then there's the fallout, and then, but then again, it's a point on a line, because many societies and communities existed prior to the war, and then of course some will survive after. It'll be difficult, apocalyptic, and that, yeah, there are mustard seed. Chintamani, she's showing a mustard seed. So very small. So each one of those is a universe, folks.
They're so tiny. They look like little mouse turds. They're even smaller than mouse turds.
Yeah, that's smaller than mouse turds. Right, very descriptive. So,
And those particular mustard seeds are actually the larger kind. The usual ones you find will actually be half that size.
wow.
What he's talking about.
There we go. So a point on a line within one sphere, so on a timeline, one point, and then there are many lines on particular planes, because there are, even in the physical system as we know it, what we call Earth, there are many other physical systems connected with us, believe it or not, according to the Vedic perspective. And then, of course, many dimensions within each solid. So a solid is like within each universe. So what we consider to be a big deal is like a glimpse in the greater spectrum of the material system. And then, of course, the spiritual world, that's even far greater, bigger than the material. 3/4 spiritual, 1/4 material world. So the majority of souls are living in freedom. So we're encased within the conception of birth, death, old age, and disease. But as we know, there is no death. There is no death by nuclear war or drowning or anything else. So it's as like a theater. But for us that are in the theater, those experiences appear to be real. And so, of course, we're not thinking, oh, we don't care for the experience of birth, death, old age, disease. We do, because that's traumatic for the soul. But it's only the subtle body that's affected. But anyway, the concern for that, ultimately, the remedy is bhakti. The remedy is coming into self-realization. Saraswati Thakur once expressed the material world as like a toilet, a bathroom. So there's lots of disturbances, there's excretion, karmic actions moving. So do your business and get out, go back. It's not a place, it's not our real home, the material system. But there is beauty here, and no doubt it's all going on by the will of the higher. But it is a place where the souls come to exploit. Mrityuloka. But then for us in movement and practice, we try to yukta vairagya, which is transform that which is contracted. Where there's divide and conquer, we try to create the unity and diversity. So we're positivists within that negative field. So we're taking everything, turning it into a positive by connecting it with Krishna. So there's the positive side to every point, thesis, antithesis. So this question is like worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that the leaders of the world evolve, we help them, and we don't go to World War III, at least in our particular timeline. Maybe the next generation, everything depending on consciousness in regard to these points, for our particular point on the line. Hare Krishna.
Do we have a new reader volunteer? I would love if somebody who hasn't read recently would like to read, like Anhala or Tina, any goddess. Yay!
Okay, we're on the second paragraph, right? We must
try to live in eternity. Yeah.
Okay. We must try to live in eternity, not any particular span of time or space. We must prepare ourselves for our eternal benefit, not for any temporary remedy. The sun, the moon, and all the planets appear and vanish. They die, and then again they are created. Within such an eternity we have to live. Religion covers that aspect of our existence. We are told to view things from this standpoint. Not only is this body, but the human race, the animals, the trees, the entire earth, and even the sun will all vanish and again spring up. Creation, dissolution, creation, dissolution. It will continue forever in the domain of misconception. At the same time, there is another world which is eternal. We are requested to enter there, to make our home in that plane which neither enters into the jaws of death nor suffers any change. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, I'm just going to make up how to say this, Abrahma Bhuvanal Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punar Janma Na Vidyate.
Brilliant. Absolutely. No, absolutely brilliant.
Really good job. Really, like, for real.
Okay.
Yeah, no fault.
Okay. I just try to do my Spanish, like say the vowels like that.
Yeah, no. Perfect.
Even quote, even Lord, should I just finish this paragraph then? Or do you want to talk about that part?
Yeah, I mean, the translation's there, even Lord Brahma.
Oh, even Lord Brahma, the creator himself, has to die. Up to Brahma Loka, the highest planet in the material world, the whole material energy undergoes such changes. But if we can cross the area of misunderstanding and enter the area of proper understanding, then there is no creation or dissolution. That is eternal, and we are children of that soil. Our bodies and minds are children of the soil, which comes and goes, which is created and then dies. We have to get out of this world of death.
So one thing you'll see is whenever Srila Sridharmaharaj is expressing someone will ask a question about possible relative difficulties within the Mayic realm, like the potential of war, you'll see he'll always go on to the solution and offer the solution from the Vedic version to that contracted conception, which you'll see, because I've read so many times, even knowing that someone's said something about war, I've immediately gone also in my own overview to the opposite, knowing that, because see, where Sankhya is the analysis of what could be, the analysis of contraction, but then the Veda is the analysis and the solution out of that contraction, out of that difficulty, out of that potential conflict. So Bhakti is always the divine harmonizer. And then of course he's saying, let's, like, worlds come and go, the cyclic system. So go back home, go out of the world of death. You are children of a higher soil, a higher conception, Vrindavan, Goloka. So freedom. Because the phenomena that as actors on a stage, it is true, we identify what's happening on that stage, but it's our temporary home, a caravanserai, as Paramahamsa Yogananda would express. So always the nature of the revelation of these great masters is Veda does give analysis to the position of the fantasy, but it's always bringing up. Gurudev would say all Vedic aspects, all Vedic literature, all aspects of Vedic literature are always trying to bring the jiva, the soul, into a transcendental prospect, always. That its nature is to bring you up into the solution of the difficulty. So, sometimes the theme of conflict resolution has come up. We've discussed in our own personal lives. So Veda is the divine conflict resolver. Bringing resolution and medicine to the problem, whatever the problem may be, on any level. the nature of Veda Bhakti. Hare Krishna.
And Maharaj, I was wondering if you can speak something about I know there's a whole wormhole of Vedic creation and planetary arrangements and all that crazy Vedic cosmology stuff, which is not on this time topic, but if you could just speak about like Lord Brahma, like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma Loka, Vishnu Loka, you know, what does Loka mean? Like all this kind of stuff.
The Vida Loka, living in the Vida Loka.
La Vida Loka.
So the Loka is like a system of realms, but a realm, it's a realm, and within that realm, many planets, many places to exist, lokas. So Brahma Loka. So there are 14 planetary systems, 14 lokas within a Brahmanda. So within the one mustard seed, 7 lower planes, 7 upper planes. Now, generally, you'll see that often it's only, you'll see Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Gurna Maharaj often only reference the 7 upper planetary systems. Now, you would say, well, there are the 7 lower planetary systems. They can be referenced, but once we're human, we don't want to contemplate descending to the 7 lower. This is the point, because the Veda trying to bring us up to the 7 upper and beyond. So the 7 upper planetary systems, including this realm, is called Burloka, where we are, Burloka, Bhuva Loka, the mental, Svaga, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya Loka. Planetary systems, 7 upper planetary systems. Then there is the at the topmost point on the other side of Brahma Loka, or Satya Loka, where Lord Brahma lives, is the Viraj river, then the Brahma Jyoti, the Nirvana, the light aspect. The water, Viraj is the watery aspect of the divine and personal, and then the light aspect is known as the Brahma Jyoti. That's the effulgence, that plane outside of the material universe. Then there is Maheshtam, the realm of Shiva, then Vaikuntha, the place where Vishnu is worshipped in awe and reverence. Then Ayodhya, Dwarka. Ayodhya is Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Then Dwarka conception, which is Krishna as king. Then Goloka Vrindavan. So the jiva, the soul, in connection with the Dara, transcendence, the movement is the path of bhakti will draw consciousness from Tama Raja and bring us on a journey in consciousness through the 7 layers. Now, Sridhar Maharaj said, as like with consulting a map, you can be able to determine the stages. Boraloka, Bhavaloka, Svaga, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya. So as you advance in bhakti, you're actually moving through those layers. But the destination, like the Brahmanda, Brahmatikun, Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prashaya by Bhaktilada Beach, the seed of devotion penetrates through those realms, through the Viraj, the river, passive river, and then through the Brahman, and then it makes its way to Goloka. That's the journey of the soul. So in the yoga systems, we hear about yoga, union with the divine, or the Kundalini meditation, where you're moving in consciousness. It's the same system of progression through layers of consciousness to Krishna consciousness, bhakti. So transcendence. This is why the general term, when you begin the path of bhakti, gradually you'll be released from the influence of tamagun and rajagun. Tamagun, rajagun. So these are indications where your consciousness, where you're presently situated in your journey. The influence of tamagun, rajagun gradually are released. And then you'll see that Brahminical culture, or sattva, becomes generally, it's the predominant influence in bhakti yogis' lives. So what are the symptoms of sattva? Clean, more conscious, illumined. People generally, as they progress, vegetarianism, veganism, consciousness is progressing. Study of Veda is a symptom of Brahminical awareness, consciousness. Your behavior comes into expanding. So sattva is the highest element, influence in the material Brahmanda. It's the influence of the higher planetary systems. But bhakti is wanting to take us beyond Suddha Sattva, beyond the sattvic. So you see in the world, our activities, we're often aligned with Tamagun, Rajagun, especially in the Kali Yuga. So the path of bhakti will gradually, so the horse up heading toward the mountain, the influences of Tama and Raja, which are on the cart, right, the back of your cart, your mental quantum, that will, all those things that are holding or contracting you will drop away gradually, both in mood and habit. Tamasic and Rajasic habit and mood will drop off gradually because they're considered mushrooms. They're not considered real. They're subtle conditionings within the mental sky. So Gurudev, you say bhakti is, it will blast the clouds and leave clear skies. So Brahma, Lord Brahma, the creator, he lives in the topmost planetary system. And we're in the middle earth, we're in the Bur planetary system, Bur, physical. So we're in the number 7. So like the middle earth, and there are realms above us. So this path of bhakti will bring our consciousness in movement through those planes by divine grace. So the seed of devotion is planted in the heart, and then gradually consciousness begins to move. This is why in the path of bhakti, I feel different. I feel some higher feeling on the journey of bhakti. My consciousness, because bhakti wants to draw you and is drawing you actually through different states of consciousness and ultimately back home, back to Godhead. So, and that's why it's very mystical. It's very mystical because sometimes Krishna will give us a boost. The current will give us some inspiration, some higher taste. Visha vinivartante nirahadasya dehino rasopajam rasopiyasya param divisva nivartate means some higher taste, even from the very birth of your bhakti. In the sangha, by the chanting, the prasadam, you'll be feeling, I feel different. I feel some sort of sweetness, some inspiration when I come to the sanghas. When I'm in this particular company, I feel some hope, some feeling. That's the higher taste. So bhakti is going to draw us up. So this explanation here is something of what's going on in the system. Moving. So
does bhakti have Kundalini? Like, what is Kundalini yoga? You just mentioned that earlier.
General reference to yoga. The yoga system is the Kundalini yoga is an aspect of, I think it's from the ninefold yoga system. So yoga is union with the divine. So people reference, Kriya, Hatha, they're all systems to try to bring consciousness up to the yoga platform, which is union with the divine. But generally it may be to the Brahman stage or to the Paramatma stage. This is why one time Prabhupada was walking in Bombay on the beach in Juhu, and all these people were doing yoga, and some of his young, naive American disciples were laughing. They're doing yoga. We're doing bhakti. And he said, no, like some yoga systems include bhakti. And he said, yoga is movement in consciousness, depending on the lineage, toward the divine, maybe not to the Krishna conception. And I, from memory, because Giriraj Swami was in that walk with Prabhupada, he was
a big Juhu guy. Juhu is his realm. Yeah, I thought of him right away when you said that.
Yeah, Giriraj Maharaj. So yeah. beach, that Bombay temple he helped establish in the 70s. And there was a whole story around that, how that happened. But, and Prabhupada says, no, you know, like different yoga systems we respect, because like other theistic religious systems, they're on their way to Krishna, general worship of the higher, the divine, some connection through the sages, Patanjali, pranayam. And many of them are also non-fixed, which means with the introduction of bhakti, they may move from a Paramatma realized conception or Brahman conception to bhakti. So anyone attempting transcendence under some system, like when Prabhupada came to the West, the Christians, the Muslims, whatever group, where we're not suppressing or belittling their movement and attempt, but also lovingly revealing the bhakti conception that goes, you know, that there is more in the spiritual sky. There is more revealed in Veda. And especially they asked him about Paramahamsa Yogananda, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. And he said, oh, no, he was a bona fide, self-realized, Paramatma realized soul. That's interesting. So it's not that bhakti yogis, we sort of wander around with our chins up as elitists. Every being is potentially on the path to bhakti. If they don't put the brakes on the bus, the car journeying, like don't put the brakes, keep going. There's the unlimited, the potential is, if we don't align to a fixed conception of transcendence, Veda will eventually want to take us to the bhakti conception. So don't stop off or don't get locked in any doctrine.
Just to chime in really quick, the top branch of Ashtanga Yoga is Ishvara Pranidhana, which means surrender to Ishvara. Very few Ashtanga yogis realize this, but the top limb of Ashtanga Yoga is surrender to Ishvara, or Godhead.
Yeah. And Krishna also called Yogeshvara. Yogeshvara means the supreme yogi. Yogeshvara, the Lord of all, the topmost yogi, Yogeshvara. Ishvara, Yogeshvara. So, like in the spirit, you know, people, Christian doctrine, Christianity is actually a system of yoga, believe it or not, because yoga is attempting union with the higher. So, Swami Maharaj, you know, all our acharyas have honored the great teaching. But then they're saying, is there more? And actually, in the coming chapters of this book, we're going to come into that discussion with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which is really interesting because most of us have come from a Christian foundation in the West. So, Hare
I
Krishna.
have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so like you start talking about, I feel like there's a lot of information and there's so much about all these different realms and dimensions and different gods, or just there's a lot, and I'm wondering like how do people really know? Like who said that there were these lokas, or like how did this information get obtained? Is it through meditation and spontaneous knowledge, or was it all given? Like, I'm sure it's multiple different things, but yeah,
Well, it's a
I'm
great
curious.
question. Yeah, great question. Thank you, Christina. Yeah, great question. So, yeah, multidimensionally, many revelations sometimes revealed through the consciousness of great sages and rishis meditating, and their awareness, it's revealed. Now, this is interesting. You know, you'll see like alien visitations, right? People sort of like in different cultures of the world, there's sort of spaceships and crafts coming from some place. So even outside the so-called Vedic culture, there have been sort of descriptions of beings from other realms. So the demigods used to visit the earth planet, and according to Veda, that's a fact. So they've given descriptions of those realms and come and said, well, look, we live in this system, and they've come to the earth realm. They've arrived in their spaceships. People might go, well, that's conjecture, but then we know within Egyptology and many cultures, they made writings on walls of these beings and crafts from other systems. But there is evidence, like the Vedic wisdom gives evidence of these beings, demigods from higher planetary systems, and even descriptions are given in Veda. So it's a culmination of what's transmuted or revealed in the consciousness, and also a combination of those beings coming to the planet. But Vyasadeva, in the Vedic history specifically, great beings have revealed this wisdom, as well as there's been the physical evidence of them coming and appearing on the planet. So the literary incarnation of the divine, Srila Vyasadeva, has revealed the Purana, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita was revealed 5,000 years ago, spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. So the Vedic version, or the Vedic wisdom, there is much evidence. And of course, in India, the pastimes of the Supreme Coming, that's also documented, and the evidence is there in India. And then the connection with this great vast revelation of wisdom, other cultures who appear to have no connection with Veda, they give similar evidence as well. Just like, here's an example. What are the chances, like in Māoridom, which is the culture in New Zealand, the indigenous people, pretty much similar revelation of the creation of the universe, supreme being, gods, goddesses, higher planets, middle planets, lower planets. The Greeks, Romans, all of these different cultures have had very similar doctrine. So what we see is that the evidence supporting the Vedic version is vast and comprehensive. But ultimately it is true that the presentation of Veda, it remains theory until it's revealed. But it's comprehensive in the sense that if you look at cultures, systems, very similar doctrine and conception being presented in others. So there's that link of comparative study of similar truths. But there is this verse, Yashadevi Parabhaktir Yatadevi Tatagaru Tashaiti Katatiheta Prakashanti Mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith in Guru Gauranga, all the imports of Vedic wisdom are revealed. So it is and can be revealed to a soul, this understanding, you know, through sincerity. But you'll see as you progress in bhakti, such feelings and awareness can come to you. It's true.
Have you ever had interdimensional experiences?
Yeah, well, the feelings of each, I mean, it's like that that question that came to Saraswati Thakur. You know, have you seen Krishna? Okay, so what to speak of interdimensions? But yeah, I think all of us as practitioners, the fact that we're continuing on the path, we've had feelings, we've had experiences that are otherworldly. So when someone says, yeah, I've been on the path of bhakti yoga, I'm here because I feel something. There is some higher taste, some higher feeling that's holding me, attracting me, drawing me in bhakti. Those other states of consciousness, no doubt, that could be referenced as the higher taste. That's what's holding me in the path of bhakti. So that question could be directed to everybody, actually, that particular perspective. It is true that no doubt all of us have felt something higher beyond, something otherworldly. To what level, that will be varying to the level of the sadhaka, the practitioner. But it is true that we can say in answer to that specific question, yes. Connection with other dimension, definitely. Our consciousness is doing that anyways. Even as we speak, we're connecting with some plane of consciousness. And in the bhakti field, it is true that our consciousness, he's being allowed connection. Like even this, the teachings of Srila Sridhar and Srila Govinda are opening a portal, opening some portal to the higher.
Isn't it like that pastime of Srila Prabhupada? He was at this like big pandal in India, and someone in the crowd, I think you mentioned this before, that someone in the crowd was like, "Oh, have you performed any miracles?" And he says, "Yes." To one of his disciples has controlled the sex desire.
Well, he said, these American boys and girls are taking up bhakti yoga. That's a miracle in of itself. They've given up the American dream or the American nightmare, whatever your perspective is, and taken up bhakti. So they're no longer, eating meat, and they're no longer drunkards. They're on the path of yoga. That's a miracle. How it is true. By the very inception of our sort of attraction to the path of bhakti, the yoga system in of itself is an indication that we're connecting and we're being sustained by another dimensional wave of consciousness. See, because this world, the dimensional sort of rope is, head down to the burger fuel and have yourself some sausages and stay in the mundanity. So what we're connecting with is definitely above us. The very nature of these discussions are, these are the topics that sages and rishis and masters are reflecting, and we're being allowed to connect with that. So we've already entered into the interdimensional. This space is interdimensional, actually. It's a fact, because to say that it's not means to minimize what's on offer here. What's being given here is the topmost wisdom, bhakti. So if Bhakti Goloka, the destination of Goloka or Bhakti is being discussed, what's in between will automatically, of course, be revealed. But it's revealed in the subtle. That's why the mystical, the subtle. So if you were to say to someone, Christina, what is it, this whole Bhakti thing? Like, why do you keep, the chanting, the book clubs? What's going on? Chelsea, what do you feel? Madhavendra, Chintamani, what's going on here? There's something higher, something good, something sweet, nurturing. I mean, we could give multiple description to what is holding us, but it is true that it's connection to some other dimensions is drawing us. Yes, it's a good question, because it'll be quite personal to each individual. Like everyone actually is having a different experience in bhakti, but we're all having some good experience, some higher, generally higher, feeling attractive, drawing, magnetic, something.
I have a question.
Do
Do you think that there was past human civilizations that were like smarter than us in a way of spiritually smarter than what we are now as a society?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. According to the Vedic perspective, yes. Humans have always lived on the face of the Bur system. And in previous ages, there were very advanced, civilizations, cultures, and evolved spiritually.
I have to come in out of the ether too to mention that whether or not I think this, there is current, very clear archaeological evidence. Like whether or not we think this, and of course the Vedas say this, if you start to just go on YouTube, look at a clear analysis of Indian temples, how they were built, we cannot do that now. We cannot build temples like some of these temples that are still left. And you have to keep in mind, these temples that are still left in India are the shreds of what was left after the Muslim invasion and like massive destruction of these crazy temples. We still do not have the technology to mimic what was happening in India. And there are also sites in Indonesia, in South America, Mexico, under sites that we know of, and including actually the pyramids, even our the common Egyptologist timeline, and even physical understanding of how the pyramids were built and the Sphinx and everything. And I know I sound kind of intense about this, but it's because I'm a very scientifically oriented person, and I've watched a lot of content from people who are in the field observing this. Whatever was happening in ancient cultures with buildings, we cannot currently do. With all of our technology, all of our electronics, all of our cranes, all of our construction equipment, all of it, we cannot mimic what they did. Stone, evidence of saws that can cut through a millimeter of stone in one turn. A saw blade that spins, and each time it revolves, it cuts through a millimeter of granite. This is impossible. We can't do this right now. But there is very clear physical evidence. Any geologist, anyone can actually see. Just scroll on YouTube for a while. Your mind will melt, I promise. Anyways, go on. I just wanted to add that in there as a sciencey guy.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's always
I've
good
heard that too.
yes. But you know, I love these questions, because everything has to be, like, the Veda is vast, and the journey is great, but then the reference to our own self and what's going on for us, it's something that, because bhakti is not abstract, it is very much that there's the destination, but the path in of itself is what's relevant. So sometimes it is good to reflect, you know, what is it in bhakti? Like, I'm attracted, I'm on the path, something's drawing me, and you'll come to your own awareness and feeling that there are general terms, you know, like the Maya is capturing us. Actually, it's many agents of Maya. I feel something happy and some sort of mystical thing going on connected with bhakti, the higher taste. What is that? And there is the, you know, the detail of what's going on also, as well as the general. So consciousness is being adjusted in sadhu sangha, in darshan. Like when we come before the great teachers, we've had experience. I had experience myself. Like, did I feel interdimensional, mystical experiences around my teacher? Definitely, no question. Something inexplicable was going on. And no doubt if you talk to the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they were feeling something otherworldly was moving, going on around. So what we read in, you know, autobiography of a yogi, or we hear disciples talking about Paramahamsa Yogananda, this happened, that happened, around those progressing in consciousness, or who are fully blossomed or progressed, many subtle, mystical, and incredible feelings can be felt. This is why even Mahamantra, which is non-different from Krishna, descending from Goloka, many practitioners, disciples will say, what is this joy that I'm feeling? I've gone to this kirtan, and there's just something going on here. It's high, it's sweet, I feel drunk even. Sometimes devotees will say, I feel a happiness, an amazing feeling. So it is coming to each of us on some variegated level. And hence, that's why we keep coming. We're moving, staying, pursuing, because something has drawn us, something higher.
It's funny because no matter how like society progresses, like right now we're in a very tech savvy type of world, but you know, God sort of finds a way to like use the resources that society has in order to reach out to us, you know, because like even now we have YouTube and we're doing Zoom calls right now, but somehow it's like still getting the message across.
Yeah, that feeling. We were talking about that last night in our book club in the South Pacific, how we could go around and sort of like, what is it that, why are we, like someone could ask, well, why are you, you know, Keshav Maharaj, why are you continue? What's going on? Like, what's drawing you? What's holding you in this lifestyle, this pursuance, this prospect? Multiple, thousands of, tens of thousands of experiences, no doubt. over the years, you know, that particular kirtan, that particular travel to India, that moment when I was at the foothills of the Himalaya, that moment, that feeling when I bathed in the Ganga, and or I was with this particular devotee, or when Gurudev expressed this, that there are multiple. And so all of us will be developing, will have these magic moments that are holding us and attracting us. Feelings, it's a feeling, mystical, no doubt. So it's, yeah, we welcome that question. But so in other words, yes, Christina, there's something tangible going on, but it will be multidimensional to each one of us. If you ask David, you know, David, like, what is it? Why the bhakti thing? Why for you? Like, and, you know, interesting. Everyone will express many things, different things. Hare Krishna. I'm coming right back. I'm just going to put some more liquid in my cup. Excuse me.
We have a comment here in the chat box how I mentioned if anybody is awake in the middle of the night or in the way early 4 a.m. New York time, you can tune in to the Australian Book Club. So if Ariana gets up again for her photo, if you see her, follow Ariana's travel blog. She's got some really great content on there. If you want to type it in the chat box. Yeah, she took a picture. She woke up in the middle of the night practically to go get a picture of herself on the, what's that bridge?
Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Anyway, so 4 a.m. Tuesday morning book club. Oh, Dharani Dharendra, welcome, brother. Dharani, where are you coming from? Are you in New Taliban?
The Bay.
No, the Bay. He's in the Bay.
He's in Berkeley.
Oh, Dharani Dharendra, welcome.
He's Krishna Sundar friend.
Yeah, I
had
remember.
the dream with yeah.
And I also want to welcome, if anybody, when Jaidev and I go back on the road, we might be on a no cell zones area sometime. So if anybody wants to volunteer as a backup moderator for one of our meetings, we have 3 meetings a week, right? So just contact me on WhatsApp and we'll be in touch. We do have a few volunteers, but it's always good to see if, you know, who's out there. We're all a family here, right? That's one of our precepts, is we're trying to create a spiritual community. First virtual, and then we'll manifest a in-person place, hopefully one day soon. Yay, Jagger.
Hare Krishna. All right, well, look, let's continue reading, folks, if that's okay. We've come up to the zone of nectar. The zone of nectar. So if anyone feels inspired, please continue.
I can read if anyone else. We are in such an area. What is to be done? Try to get out. Try your best to get out of this mortal area. The saints inform us. Come home, dear friend. Let us go home. Why are you suffering so much trouble unnecessarily in a foreign land? The spiritual world is real. This material world is unreal, springing and vanishing, coming and going. It is a farce. From the world of farce, we must come to reality. Here in this world, there will be not only one war, but wars after wars, wars after wars. There is a zone of nectar, and we are actually children of that nectar that does not die. Shinvantu vishve amritasya putraha. Somehow we are misguided here, but really we are children of that soil, which is eternal, where there is no birth or death. With a wide and broad heart, we have to approach there. This is declared by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. All confirm the same thing. That is our very sweet, sweet home, and we must try our best to go back to God, back to home, and take others with us.
Beautiful. Yeah, sometimes we've analyzed, feeling like you know, it's the feeling, it's the consciousness is adjusted, it's changed in the Bhakti field. This is what, when we come in, we hear the Maha Mantra, we take the prasadam. There's a particular vibration, a field, a current moving that instigates, changes, shifts, gives us something higher. So, yeah, and no doubt everyone within the greater theistic field, different, depending on the current, depending on what's being revealed through particular channels. This is why the, you know, religious sentiment or religious fervor, spiritual fervor, it's unique to the individual, depending on their level of surrender, intensity, and what dimension they're connecting with, what layer or level or intensity of spiritual revelation they're connected with. So the general higher taste is there for everybody. It's true within the religious or spiritual system. So Shuddha Shuddha is saying here, you know, you're children of the nectar. Children, sons and daughters of nectar, sons and daughters of truth, sons and daughters of love. You came from love, you are love, don't be satisfied with anything but love. So the call to come into reality, to come home, to come into potential, your potential. This is the call of the Veda. Come back, you know, Jivaras Frupaya Krishnera Nichadas. You're eternal servants of Krishna. Love, beauty, truth. The prospect is here. The Vedas are revealed. The path back home, back to Godhead is here. The maps have been revealed. So as you like, choose the marketplace of the holy name.
I have a question about what was just read.
Yeah.
Well, it was it's kind of like something that I've been thinking about, and some people, like it says, get your best to get out of this mortal area. So like some people take the idea that like we were born into this human body, into this earth, into this dimension, this reality, so that we could fully live the human experience. And that, so like I've heard, trying to almost like run away from your own humanness or humanity or like material being is a trap in itself of duality. And so like what I heard you say now is kind of like, go back to your unity, go back to your oneness, your love, the true potential, the truth of what you are. And that like duality is gone, right? But then when I read this, it's like, try your best to get out of this mortal area. It for me, it makes me think of like wanting to transcend the human experience, but in a way that feels or sounds to me like and I don't know if this is me imposing judgment on it, but it's like I'm wondering if it's a spiritual trap of like
escapism a little bit.
Yeah, like escapism of the human, instead of like embracing the human condition and living it fully, and in that you find transcendence. It's like, is it spiritual bypassing to want to like leave the mortal?
Yeah, well,
Can I actually ask you a question, Christina?
actually, just
Sure.
one thing, just because I need to express this thought. This thought is that that is true. Some will. I've seen many bhakti yogis in the spirit of this actually do exactly that. So this point of bypassing, this can be taken the wrong way to bypass, because see, transcendence or awakening in transcending the non-dual is to actually embrace the human experience as spiritual beings, to have the best possible human experience, to sort of extend the divine wave, kingdom, system inside the matrix. So this doesn't mean we get out we want to get out, and the material world's a bad place. See, once we add Krishna, once we add love, divinity, the transcendental vision to our experience, everything gets transformed. So bhakti's positive. So with not understanding this in proper context, we can think we just have to get out. It's a bad place. It's all rubbish. But see, the masters come inside these systems and transform. So we can't say the ashrams and the devotees, this is all just death. This is all just rubbish. Let's all just get out. We don't care about the world. It's not. So it's always in context that transcending death is a state of consciousness. It doesn't mean that we're just against the world, against the system. We're transforming the system and creating the Garden of Eden actually here. So it can be in reference to the negative context, but we're seeing it from the positive side. It's actually the transformation, come to the deathless state. It doesn't matter ultimately whether you're in heaven or hell, in the earth realm, this realm, because spirituality is a state of consciousness. But then there is also the destination. But as you awaken on the path in itself is beautiful. Like what the masters do in these realms and the teachings, the Vedic teachings, it wants to establish the positivity. So we're positivists. This shouldn't be taken as a negative overview. Anyway, I just thought I'd add that, because it is true that I've seen in the name of a statement like this, sannyasis, many, this world is rubbish, let's all throw it to the rubbish. I'm just meditating on the spiritual realm. But the spiritual realm is a state of consciousness, and we view everything here from its loving, spiritual, beautified perspective, the devotional perspective. So then it's positive. Being here is a positive experience. Yeah. Hare Krishna. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Sorry, I feel really inspired. I just wanted to ask a question in relation to your question. What makes you human? Is it the flesh that's your body? Is that what makes you human? So having this human experience, oh, I have a fleshy body, that's my human experience. For me, when I relate to another human being, what makes them a human being isn't this physical muscle mass and this kind of thing that rots. Like I've seen dead bodies, and when that human is gone from that dead body, that flesh thing is not the body anymore. So when I think of having a human experience, it means what actually makes me human. And what makes me human is that living consciousness that's inhabiting the body temporarily. But again, if you've ever watched something die or held something dying in your hands, the fleshy part, like he's saying right now, this fleshy or this like corporal or this material experience, that isn't the human experience. That's the physical experience. But what makes us human is actually this living, vibrant consciousness that's temporarily kind of in this human experience. And so it's not negating the human experience. The human experience is we are consciousness. We're living through this human experience. We're living awake consciousness in having a human experience. So then my question, I guess I answered your question, sorry, but I was going to ask you, what makes you human?
I agree with Jayadev, everything you're saying, that I think there is a common misconception about what it means to live a human life or live the human experience. Like some people think living life means you go get a tattoo on a whim and then you throw everything on red and maybe you win big or you lose it. You know, you have a marriage and a divorce. Like these events of human life don't define what we are. And I would suggest, at least, you know, what I think it means to be human is very directly related to love, right? In a certain sense, we are love, or a manifestation of love. That's all I could really add to what Jayadev is saying, but I like that question of, well, hang on, what does it mean to be human? What is a human experience? Because it's, you know, I see the conundrum, right? Is if you're trying to live a spiritual life, does that mean you're throwing everything else away? Are you throwing away your humanity by trying to be spiritual?
Yeah. See, everything, like the positivity, like, see, yukta vairagya, like, see, everything can bind you, everything can liberate you. So you can be in the human experience, general. But if you stay in a very contracted state, like we hear this, you know, the subhuman race, you know, the subhuman activity. So you can have a human form, but then due to misunderstanding or false construct or false ego, you can draw your perception or understanding of the human play to be a fight and flight, to be a war, to be something very contracted, depending on your perspective. So the Veda is coming to sort of, it's coming to show that the higher, the true human experience, because the human form of life is ultimately given as a tool for self-realization. The purpose for human life is for that. So there's the lower predatorial animal aspect in the human play. And then there's the potential, the glory, the love aspect, the higher aspect, the sort of expansive aspect, and then the contracted. And we see in the world all of those plays unfolding in front of us. Some people having an amazing human experience and they're in touch with higher, expansive, and then others control, contraction, war. So yeah, consciousness is determining that, and consciousness and karma, previous karmic waves, are determining that. So bhakti is sort of the unlocking to bring, yeah, the true expression of like the human potential, because human potential must connect with the fact of the spiritual element, must be, and is, according to Veda, you know, the spiritual being having the human experience. So when those two dance in symbiotic resonance, the spiritual essence within the human play, then it reaches new heights. Love, like you say, in essence, where love, you know, essence, units of love, coming from love, are love, don't be happy with anything but returning. Sons and daughters of nectar. So nectar, the being is nectar. So now the human experience should reflect the nectar, hopefully. The nectarian. Like I met this human and I felt a lot of nectar coming from them, or a lot of love, a lot of happiness, a lot of truth, beauty. Then we would say that's the symbiotic connection with essence, which is what you are as a human, is now marrying together. Hare Krishna.
The paradox that I'm wrestling with has something to do with the dichotomy between, on the one hand, evolving upward or becoming more complex, versus on the other hand, becoming simpler. And if I can try and explain it, what I mean is, you know, we were talking earlier about the 7 upper planetary systems and about kind of a process of evolving upward, where you know, Brahmaloka is not as far as Goloka Vrindavan, or, you know, Krishna's abode is in a way higher than Brahmaloka. So, you know, I noticed that life and consciousness and human beings have this tendency to evolve, right? We're headed in a particular direction, upward, not downward, I hope, or inward, or however you want to define it. But I also see that the goal of Krishna's abode is not, it doesn't seem like a complex place, right? Like life is simpler, you know. So maybe one reason why Krishna doesn't send iMessages on his iPhone is he doesn't need to do that. But the point being is that all of Krishna's associates are so satisfied and so happy to have a simple life with him. Like it's enough for them to take a stroll with him in the woods, to be with the cows, to play games, you know, to be there in the rivers and, you know, seeing the peacocks and everything. So how is it, I mean, maybe another way I can explain my confusion is that, you know, we're describing that a personal relationship with Krishna is a more advanced, more elevated state than experiencing the Brahma Jyoti, or living in you know, Brahmaloka. And so to me, that's surprising. That's counterintuitive, because, you know, however many hours you try and meditate, I have never seen the Brahma Jyoti. And what I really would like more than that, though, is to have a direct relationship with the divine. Like the Lord should be nearer than the near and dearer than the dear. You know, Krishna, his associates, you know, Balaram or the gopis or Srimati Radharani, they are so blessed to have a personal, simple relationship with Krishna. So is it that I need to simplify, or is it right to keep evolving? Because I'm scared that in this evolutionary process, we're getting too complex. You know, am I going to be searching for his abode on a spaceship? Or is it more a matter of, you know, using the third eye, penetrating beyond the darkness of closed eyelids? Maybe next, then I'll see the Brahmajyoti. And then even beyond that is Krishna's abode.
Yeah, well,
so how is it that we can both have this simple constitutional position of being in a relationship with Krishna, but on the other hand, I'm seeing all this outward explosion of complexity, you know, where our thoughts are going in every direction. People are inventing weapons. People are thinking about colonizing other planets. Like, it's a pickle.
Yeah, it's Vrindavan. Yeah, that's the destination. That's above our heads. Generally, like, this question was asked to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, you know, because the Westerners, when they first came to Bhakti, they were sort of chant 16 rounds, you know, 5 principles, follow the 5 principles, and back home, back to Godhead. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's sort of expression was, no, it's very rare, no doubt, that in one birth we cross. So Krishna consciousness is a state of consciousness. So what's happening is the complexity of the realms we're in. What we're doing is the absolute harmony, that absolute state, the higher state, can utilize any other relative state in its favor. That's called the yukta vairagya. So what happens is that the complexity may be there of like utilizing the material system for war, for technology, but we sort of, Paramahamsa Dharma is utilizing what's in favor of that movement of developing more and more a service attitude to the higher. So our present state of consciousness, our work is the maps revealed by the Siddha Mahapurush Vaishnavas, and sort of the developing faith, sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, the practice, yukta vairagya, of connecting everything to the service. And in that, the complexity of what others are doing, that will sort of go into the background, it'll go into the peripheral, and then you'll come into utilizing what you can within your sphere for your gradual development. And then the revelation, the stages by which you cross, that will all be in, you know, a revelation. It will all be sort of harmonized, the present environment. So, because in the upper systems also, they have technologies, systems, processes, but you're beelining to the flower, to the savor, to the service, to the higher. So that becomes it's like now, you know, like the politics is going on, and there's so many realms, so much chatter, mental noise going on, so many systems, but you're sort of plugging into the beeline of the yukta vairagya, connecting everything to the service. That will become, so these other things will go to the peripheral. It's a fact, it's true. And what's relevant to your choice journey, which is the path back home to the eternal realm, your consciousness will beeline into that conception. So, like, hence, you know, we do have computers and phones, but it's true, we can get lost. These can be great distractions, but then great tools like that. So you'll see that Bhakti will give natural harmony. The path of Bhakti will give you the ability to harmonize all these complexities. Yeah. That's been my sort of feeling so far.
I wanted to chime in to welcome our new guest, very honored guest, Neva O'Laughlin, the Blessed Mother of Chintamani Devi Dasi, aka Shani Banani. Neva, good to see you.
I've been here before. I like coming and visit. I like listening to you guys.
Yeah,
Well,
Nice to see
we
you
still
all.
want to welcome you every time. I hope that's okay.
Oh, thank you. It is really fine. Yes. I've got my sweatshirt on. It feels like fall, winter here. So.
Yeah. Chicago. Yeah.
Well,
Talking about the Great Lakes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It's hard to figure out where you're supposed to go with your spiritual journey some days in this political world we're in, where, you know, people can't focus on spirituality as much because you're just inundated with, I have to turn off all the news. I can't, I mean, you lose sight of what's important in life. And is, you know, the guy that was talking before is trying to figure out, are we going to be, you know, trying to find, you know, God on a spaceship? God, I hope not, but you never know. I mean, seriously, you think about it, sometimes you wonder. I mean, because it seems God's lost in the world right at the moment, and you have to search very hard for him. So whatever God it is, you know, all God, you know, the God. But anyway, I'll keep my mouth shut. So,
I mean, ultimately, you know, because this is another thing that is a good reflection is Krishna in the aspect of the Antajami, the Lord within the heart, will be very close to hearing your feeling, your yearning, your hankering. And so what's necessary for the journey, and even like your inspiration, how to utilize that intelligence will be given. Intelligence will be given for your beeline to the essential points of what will inspire you to keep moving in pursuance of offering, serving, and ultimately surrendering, you know. Tadvridipani Patena Pariprashnena Sevaya. So the surrender, the service offerings, that must come via intelligence given to you because of your sincerity. So the super soul will assist us in the beelining and sort of in keeping the noise out. So that all goes into the peripheral, and you just beeline into the focus.
what you have to do is be like,
Hare Krishna.
no, I was agreeing with him.
Chintamani, your sound is very low.
Yes, very low.
Very, very low. And I was thinking my speakers were, there was some trouble with my electronics.
No, she's low on my end too.
Probably my headphones. I'm so sorry, but can someone read the chat box?
Can someone what?
Sorry, it's my
I'd be glad to. It sounds like there are some relevant points in the chat box. By the way, I'm very inspired by the questions everyone's asked. Christina, that question really moved me. Yeah, so let's see what's happening in the chat box, because there's always amazing stuff going on. Let's see. Going back, Chintamani, great question. Yes, the pyramids, the Vimanas. This is from Chelsea to everyone. So what Chelsea said is, I think it's like more of a declaration. She's talking about pyramids and Vimanas as evidence of ancient civilizations being more advanced. The Vedas 5,000 years ago talked about flying machines called Vimanas. And if you look at the Shastra, or the scripture which refers to these flying machines, they use what we now know of as modern aerodynamics. So they knew how to make an airplane wing 5,000 years ago. How that, you know, the airplane wing, the shape of it, its base, it kind of has a particular shape which allows planes to fly. That's how we get to other countries. Anyways, they knew about that in the Vedas. So I think she's referencing that. Tell me if I'm wrong. And then Chintamani says, hi, Mom, welcome. Oh, Christina, just wanted to clarify. So reading on your behalf, Christina, I understand the human experience as being the embodied combination, yes, of soul, mind, heart, and human body. Yeah, absolutely. When I leave my human body, my soul still exists, but I no longer am having the human experience. I myself would say you would still be having the human experience, but not an embodied human experience. This is just my perspective, because that thing that leaves your body is your human. That's your humanity, but that's just me. And then I too have held a dead body. Oh, good. So yeah, we're all on the same page here. I think Dr. David is most advanced in this study, but we've all held dead bodies. I understand the fact that life.
It's nothing to brag about.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I think of it as a powerful teaching catalyst, but yeah. Christina, do you want to read this, or should I read it? I don't know if I should be even reading on your behalf, or if you want to read it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
you
just
read it.
chiming in because I felt like the conversation had changed, but I just wanted to share the last point that
Yeah, please do.
just
I'll shut up. And, yeah.
I just said that I also have held the body, and I understand that the fact that the life has left, but that being human is not just the body. But if I have my soul in a different form, like a plant or an animal or light body, I'm not having the human experience. Because to me, the way I understood it was like, it's the culmination, the combination. So like the soul is one thing, and it's the life force, and it's the consciousness. But like in this area of beingness, like of the human experience, then when I lose my human form, then I'm not experiencing it that way anymore. So I said, I guess my topic was more about when we are in our body and wanting to see what he thought about what was meant in the text, and if it was bypassing. But I understood from Maharaj that it was meant in the loving, aware context instead of bypassing what is now. So I was just clarifying that I understood you, but I understood it differently. Like the human, when I talk about the human experience, I understand it differently.
Mm.
And
It's
I'm
like,
confused why you think you are still having a human experience if you're not in your human form.
Oh, okay. Really quick then, because I feel like you're addressing some things I said, I'm hoping. Yes,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll chime in. I've had cats that are just cats. They're just an animal. And I've had cats that I swear they're human. And when I use the word human, they're consciously awake and they're communicating with me. But I've had other cats, they're just an animal, like their mind. And I've interacted with a lot of people in a human form. So it's the way I use the word partially. And that human form is fully unconscious. Literally, they're just running through programming their entire life. We're talking like Cheetos, Doritos, and that's not even relevant. I'm just saying like they're on that plane. And I know humans that are more awake. You're yourself. Actually, everyone in this meeting, I would say, is more human. And when I use that word, I mean consciously awake, because the special hallmark of the human form is it gives us this opportunity to wake up our conscious awareness. In other forms of spirituality, you could say experiential, like I don't even want to use the word because it's been misused in the West, so I'm not going to. Other forms of Vedic spirituality, the hallmark of like, there's consciousness and it's inhabiting all these forms, and at some point consciousness wakes up and is able to experience itself as consciousness, and it starts to reflect on its own existence. And when I use the word like truly human, I mean consciousness that has started to almost reflect on itself. That means literally everyone in this forum, 100% guaranteed, I can feel it in you. Your consciousness is awake to itself. So I guess that's how I was using that idea. And also my charge and my response was based in the fact that I see so many people in my community, which has a lot of quote new age influence, or quote neo-tantrically influenced, or quote kind of sort of yoga influenced, this idea of, oh, I've got this human body, I've got to like really like enjoy all the things like on the material plane that this life has to offer. And so I think a lot of people misinterpret this idea of fully embracing the human experience to just consumerism, because we live in the West and the dominant consciousness in the diluted kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Societal consciousness is consumerism. So I've seen this idea of fully embracing your humanity kind of intertwined with the consciousness of consumerism. And I have kind of a hedonism, consumerism, and this has to do with marketing. It's what sells most yoga classes and all these other things. Like it, you know, and so I had an immediate response based on that, even though obviously you're awake, obviously you're self-reflective consciousness, obviously you're talking about the multiple dimensions of the human experience. I was just addressing that because I believe the way I interpret the yogic path, and specifically the Vedic path and the Vaishnava path, is when I think of like awakening our humanity to its highest potential, that's love of God. That's but love of God implies love of each other, full love of each other. So to me, that's the apex of the human experience. The highest possibility, the greatest human experience is to love and be loved with all of the rest of humanity in love with God. That is the peak of the human experience. And so when I was saying that, I'm saying that's what I believe when Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying, you know, this mortal experience, that's not actually, that's like the lowest dimension of the human experience. He's saying, let's get out of the lowest dimension of the human experience and go into the highest dimension of our possible human experience. So when I saw that, like, but because of my Krishna programming, and I don't know if you had this, but I could easily project onto that, and have in the past, let me tell you, a kind of like anti-human experience, anti-being incarnated on this plane, post-Christian kind of mentality. And so I felt sensitive that maybe you were having that experience that I've had before, where like, oh, that sounds like it's like negating my like experience of being incarnated right now. And so what I was trying to do is thinking maybe I could relate to you on that level, speak to that reflection. And if I'm off base, I do apologize, but that was kind of what I picked up from and was responding to. So hopefully I could help in some way, but I was mostly, I wanted to say, inspired by the question. It brought new realization. Your questioning brought me new realization, and I got excited and had to say something. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. I saw this, actually, you actually answered my question, Maharaj, on, I'm speaking Spanish, before you, when you answered it, you spoke to what I was talking about, which was the spiritual, like how people could use it as a bypassing, but that's not what was meant in the text. And I had just heard a video that was making me think about, what is it to be human and humanity. And I wasn't really speaking to the hedonism, but more of kind of like the Buddhist perspective of embracing what is, like I am in this form right now. And so instead of denying it, actually unifying my consciousness with it, instead of denying it or avoiding or running away from it or wanting to transcend it through avoidism.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is like in the early years when we came to Bhakti, we were told, you're not the body, you're not the body. And there were many young brahmacharis and students of Bhakti who were just like throwing their bodies into the wind, like not caring properly, not taking care of their feet, their health. You're like, I'm not the body, I'm not the body. Like, so let's just have cold showers and, you know, perform all these intense austerities. Like, you know, like a very gross expression was, oh, this body is just a bag of stool, they used to say. I mean, just very immature.
They still say that.
Yeah, they still say that. So all these very advanced bhakti yogis apparently are still saying this body is a bag of stool. But the body is a great gift. It's the divine temple given to utilize in connection with the divine. So it's to be looked after and appreciated. And so, yeah, it can be taken out of context. Like, we are the body in the sense that we're living as spiritual beings inside this body. So nurture it, look after it. It's a great gift. And, you know, like this projection, like, you know, and I think Chelsea mentioned this the other day, we have been exposed to bhakti yogis who would go, oh, you know, you've got your little stool bags running around you. That's a terrible perspective. And in the name of bhakti, it's shocking. These neophytes / fools projecting this type of consciousness to sadhakas, you know, like it's a very misunderstood use of the conception that we're not the body. Yeah, the body is a vehicle, but like we're referencing the spiritual being within the human experience. And this human experience is, I mean, devotees, you know, once we awaken, so there's the positive aspect that has to be always, we're drawing to that side, not to the negative, that, you know, the human form of life is a sentence. It's due to our past karma. It is, but there's that connection, but we're seeing the positivity. Bhakti wants to draw the positivity. So we wouldn't reference that. Just like in the sense the word karmi, you won't hear me like in other bhakti yoga groups, they're going, those not karmis or non-devotees. No, like that's external, that's the action. But we're seeing our brothers and sisters of light that are yet to come to the great path. So view Vedic perspective from the positive side, not looking just to the worst case scenario, the outer, oh, you're not the body. Well, yeah, you're a spiritual being. Let's utilize your body. Let's engage, let's educate, let's share the wisdom to turn it into a positive experience, a positive perspective, which is what it is ultimately. It's like a knife. A knife can be a great tool for creating incredible things, but who's going to say, oh, the knife is really bad, it could be used to stab people, and that's your only reference to the knife? It's terrible. Like, really? Come on, folks. So the body can be a great tool for destruction and contraction, or the human life. But the human life can, we see the positive, the bright side of the road. So, Hare Krishna.
I was going to say that what Jayadeva was, what I got from what we all just shared now is that, like you're using the knife analogy, that sentence in itself, your body is a poop bag or whatever, that it's neither good or bad. Like maybe that's a helpful, shocking statement to somebody who is hedonistic and like super attached to their body. So maybe it helps wake them up, and it's the context that matters. But then like maybe for someone like me in the past who's been ultra ascetic, like for me, then that statement doesn't help, because it's like I need to embrace my humanity, and meaning I need to live in alignment, in harmony with what is now, instead of what I this result oriented goal I have for spirituality. Like I need to harmonize with all of it, which is the unity, which is the love. And so like that, to me, that just makes me realize that the context is important, and also to whom it's said, and how, kind of like what you're doing with the book. Like we're reading this book, but we're not in the context, but you've met these people who are speaking it, so you can kind of translate it into a context for us in this context, so we can understand it.
It is true that my understanding so far is I've seen many, even gurus and sannyasis take many things out of context. They bastardize, and the very thing of the spirit of the text gets changed, and it gets turned into something, even like as a stick. Some will take the wisdom or knowledge of Veda to use as a control stick to even create negativity. It's unfortunate. So this is what we definitely don't want. This is why I think, no doubt, if you've been exposed to training of Vedic text and conception under a living, loving master, the loving aspect comes forward in context that it's all positive. Bhakti is a very positive, auspicious, sweet, nurturing path. So this sort of militancy and taking it out of context, it will unfortunately, and it's true, many people have withdrawn from Bhakti because they think this is all very heavy and very negating, and it's not harmonizing. It's, in some ways, it's wanting to divorce us in a very militant way from the Yukta Vairagya conception. Utility is the principle. See, utilizing everything from the positive perspective, that's ultimately what Veda is wanting to establish. We're not against anything. Just add love, add Krishna, and then it's all good. It's all happy. It's all sweet. I mean, if I was to, I don't very rarely cross the paths of bhakti yogis who speak in this way, but I can tell you, if I did cross the path of someone presenting bhakti in that particular way, I would have to pipe up immediately and say, whoa there, Pancho, just where's the love in this? Where's the perspective of utilities, the principle? Where's the positivity and the positive side? The connecting, utilizing everything from the higher perspective. So in other words, highest common denominator, not lowest common denominator conception. It's true, so in other words, we're approaching bhakti with the soft love. We're not going into the tough love ideology of shocking somebody out of their hedonism. We can say, you're hedonistic, this is terrible, you're acting like a dog, an animal. But no, that person's ego will get disturbed. So we go, brother, come this way to the Prasadam hall, take some halava. Chintamani wants to give you a hug, you know. So it's all going to be a loving, positive, you know. Otherwise, it's... Gurudev said that. He said, no doubt, tough love has been presented in the name of bhakti, but mostly he said, everyone responds well to the soft love. Actually, tough love is for the advanced student who's able to take yeah. But always in context, it's true. Many things are taken out of context. I've seen many things, incredible. This is why to read the books, we're told don't read alone or independent. You will get confused. Read with guidance from somebody that's been will properly understand it in context.
Artsy has joined us.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Arti and Alicia. Wow, we have, you know, our
I'm in the car though.
Yeah. I'm coming back. I'm just going to the bathroom.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, the all-star crew. We have all the pieces of the all-star crew. Actually, a hidden person that came too was one of my beloved senior. She's a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. She was here for a while, but she's really shy, so she didn't announce herself. But I just want to give her respect. Gunamai, my dear friend, was here for a minute. I think, David, you met Gunamai, right, at Bhakti Fest? Also,
the name isn't ringing a
Sankalpa
bell. I might need to see her face.
she had the little rotting dog with the missing eye.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. She was actually kind of creeping on the meeting, but oh my God, I love her so much. So I just want to send her a shout out. She's not here anymore though.
Well, you were talking earlier, Jayadev, about old or ancient temples, and we still don't know how they were built. We still can't replicate. And it was funny how Maharaj was mentioning the human body as a temple. And he's kind of a similar context, because likewise, there's still so many things that we don't understand about how the body works. We can't replicate. We wish our machines could be as efficient, or we could make, something like an organ or.
So true, man. Yeah, it's right under our noses, like how crazy the technology is. Yeah, it's true. Wow. Yeah. Deep stuff. Use it while you got it. Love it as much as you can. Feed it well.
So are you guys going to be on the road again, or are you already on the road?
That's why I'm not always on video and maybe a little scattered. We're actually, because we have a cool spell, which means the temperatures are under 100 degrees. And we're taking that as the time to put our stuff in the van, and we'll probably be on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. My life and love is making music with my friends. That's all of you. I can't wait to get on the road again. So yeah, well, hopefully, Krishna willing, we'll be on the road again in about a week and a half before it gets hot again, before it gets above 100, because we don't want everything to melt in our van. So we've been waiting for a week of cooler temperatures, and Krishna has graced us with that. So I'm like kind of re-shellacking, rebuilding the van. We got stuff everywhere, and yeah. But yeah, that's why I'm not always able to be on camera or be fully attentive to the conversations. But yeah.
Germany is showing us the devils that live in the
Where
desert.
are they?
She's showing us.
Oh.
She's taking flowers from the asuras.
Oh, those things are gnarly. Yeah, don't touch them. They have tiny little spines. They'll stain your skin forever.
Chintamani, you're handling the Asura bodies.
She's got little claspers.
She's giving her love to the cacti.
Also, every night we feed what are called javelinas. They're sort of pig-like creatures, and they come out back here. You can see the little hoof prints. We give them our compost. They're like these hairy, they smell like a skunk. If anyone's ever smelled a skunk, they have this like musky smell, but we love them. They're super cute. They have skinny little legs and fat pig bodies with like big snout. They look like varaha, like big, tusks, like the tusks that come up. Totally cool. But anyways, yeah, we're kind of getting our way out of here.
Oh, nice. So you're going at some point. You're all going to meet up with Chelsea and Madhavendra.
That's the dream. Or they could come meet us. We do have some potential land projects actually funded, like heavily funded, brand new, with people with the traditional Vedic cows. They want to create like a cow protection project. So we might go check that out. Like real cow, not under ISKCON, not under anything other than just some very pious Indian gentlemen, I believe. And Chintamani could talk more about that. But we might look at that. We do want to come see our family. We'll be on tour. A lot of it depends on the political and social climate. And fires. Apparently there are new fires. There might even be a fire near us right now. So we're kind of dodging fires, finding those we love. Pray that there's no fires in San Diego, then maybe we'll come visit you. And no riots. And we don't care about COVID. We'll risk COVID.
Fires and riots are good to avoid.
Yeah.
Are you going to be in San Diego, with Maharaj?
I wish.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes, come Maharaj to San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, in the future, yeah, I mean, it's been many years since I've been to the land of the free and the home of the brave. But yeah, let's see. That would be the dream. Yeah, be wonderful to come. But you're heading to Ojai, right? To the northern California, I think. Is it, Chintamani? Yes. Ojai. Ojai, Ojai. Oh, how high can we go in Ojai?
It's actually, believe it or not, still in the south. It is north of San Diego, but it's very far in the southern half still. And we're just maybe going really quick to Ojai to pick up some things. And then again, we're going to play it by ear. It's completely like depending on the environment. We're harmonizing to the environment. We have a moving home with so many things, and we have kirtan, and we have so many friends everywhere, and we're just going to follow the environment and see how the environment kind of guides us,
Awesome. It's a very, soul adventurer, soul rebel, soul adventurer.
And Bob Marley.
Yes. Well,
You really get me with these, because I feel like my spirituality was built on those very, very early moments of, some of these positions you're reciting. The longing, the hankering was awakened through listening to those
Same.
messages.
Well, we can utilize and
Yes.
connect many quotes and reflections from others in the general search for divinity, truth, shelter.
I was just in a flotation tank. I was just floating.
How was it?
Yeah, it was a treat. I have a nonprofit organization called Immunity, not Immunity, but Immunity, and he's a doctor. So, and years ago, I told him he is very vata, very high energy, very, very, very fast. To get him grounded and flow down, I suggested flotation tank. It took him a long time to try it out, and then he did, and it was really good. So I guess that was his way to show his gratitude. So he invited me to a flow because they're kind of expensive. And it's like deep shavasana, And I brought it up because Jayadeva and Chintamani, and I'm still stumbling over that name. Chintamani is also in that kind of, not a flotation tank, but in that float in their mobile home, in the, you know, letting go, like when you have that body in the water. So when you guys are in that car, you're releasing your faith into the universe, being held like I was on that, you know, on that water, because it has so much salt in it, so I didn't drown. So may you have that, you know, that kind of floating, be surrounded by the loving God energy.
Oh, thank you, Aditi. Also, we have a hammock set up in the van too, so we can almost emulate your experience in the hammock while we're driving sometimes.
Oh.
Transcendental gypsies. Transcendental gypsy.
Yes, we're in the Golden Lord's caravan for sure.
It's good, you know, like Rolling Stone gathers no moss. I mean, ultimately Bhakti is such a path that whether stationary and movement, travel, the connection with love is the connection with devotional mood can be in any time, any place, and under any circumstance, ultimately. So always harmonizing, the harmonizing spirit. It's interesting because the path of the ascetic generally is the path of constant movement. Yeah. So that in the days of yore, the ascetics would travel, move from place to place, so as not to get attached to any one environment or situation. But ultimately, attached to love and detached from that which is going to contract us. Let go.
I kind of find it interesting because I think a lot of people would think our life is austere, but for me, it's actually heavenly. You know, like there are plenty of things they do that aren't austerities, but just the simplicity, like kind of like Dr. David was talking about. When you simplify life or you make your living space smaller, you make your needs smaller, then it just, there's less in the way of consciousness itself, and consciousness can kind of move how it wants, you know. But so many people are so encumbered by all these opulences they have, but they're actually like a kind of a prison. So I am definitely not ascetic. I am definitely not like self-denying or sense-denying, and I wish I was more. I think I'd be better off. But still, it's just the act of simplifying life and keeping things moving. God, it's so freeing. Yeah.
Yeah, simple living, high thinking was Prabhupada's sort of motto of the ideal. But even if you're in complex living, still try for the high thinking. So simple living or complex living, but definitely always connect with the high thinking. But it's
so I have a question or a reflection about the text.
Yes.
If I may ask. Okay, so it speaks to a zone of nectar.
Yeah.
And also the understanding that we are here sort of to blossom and die and do it all over again. So my question and what have been kind of modeling what you guys have been talking is, do we carry that nectar within us? And we are here to act or have that humanism from that seed of nectar, or we are from that soil, however we are living this human experience to do whatever it is we need to do, as Dr. David was saying about the basics, and then also dealing with life and with the things that we need to do, or maybe via us being in the world of exploitation, as you say, and doing things we don't like and being uncomfortable and growing from it. Are we actually building or creating nectar to bring back with us?
Yeah, this is another good question perspective, because you see the nectar, so you are nectar. Don't be satisfied with anything but nectar. What's happening is you'll carry that consciousness of nourishment, connection with the higher. As you gradually surrender to love, you'll carry that. So that consciousness, whatever percentage of consciousness you connect with the higher, with the nectar, you'll carry life after life. So you'll carry it with you as a disinfecting wave of divinity around in your environment, and then that will, as you progress, that will increase. So those around you will be nectarized by the zone of nectar, and you'll carry that as your progress in the next birth, after the death. So it's the soul, sort of like a seed, that the lotus starts to bloom, open up, and so that lets the dara, the nectar, descend, and then you become, actually, as you see, and as we've seen with many bhakti yogis, they carry something of that nectar with them, to the degree that they've surrendered to that. So you also become conduit of the great truth, the great nectar.
So are we like bees in this beehive where we're
Yes.
making more of it so we can live in it?
Yeah, beeline to the beehive. Drink the nectar, distribute the nectar.
Right.
Drink the nectar, distribute the nectar. So see, you carry, so as you evolve in consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, on the path of bhakti, you become an ambassador to that conception. So there's the king of the sadhus and the sadhus. There's those who have been trained, who are in the pose of teachers, who teach how to be a good bumblebee, how to stay with the flowers, the positive, progressive, devotional conception, and then there's the distribution of that nectar also. The books, the holy name, the prasadam, and you yourself will be an embodied example. That will be a development in all of us as we go on in the path, definitely. So connect with nectar, and then naturally you'll embody that and then distribute.
Thank you. I really like that.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So beeline.
Yeah, we talk about so many things that are so sweet, and so, everything sounds so great. However, we are living the life, and
yes. The work in progress.
Right. So the job of the bee for me personally is just staying present with all of those things that make us uncomfortable, to observe them but not become them, to remain in that state.
Yeah, see, the bee is also serving the central hive. So service to Krishna, see, you will, by chanting, by the service, you'll be nectarized. See, because you're serving the nectar, the source of nectar, Krishna, and then you'll become purified and nectarized. So by serving the gold mountain, Mahaprabhu, the gold that is within you will shine out, and the coal, the difficulties, the contractions, the conditioning around the gold will gradually be purified and washed away. So ultimately, you will just be, your true self will shine forth by the service to love, truth, beauty, God, divinity, Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu.
Okay, so that makes me think about, like, when I came in the call, Shantamani and you guys sent happy birthday to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
But then within this song, there was something about, we hope not to come back again.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where the nectar is, on the work of keep coming in.
Yeah, well, that's another good perspective question. See, when you come into the devotional conception of developing service to the higher, service to Guru Gauranga, Radha Krishna, then everything becomes auspicious. So even if you take birth again and continue your service in another realm, in another place, because you're connecting with the nectar, that divine love, Krishna consciousness, you'll be a conduit to spread harmony, truth, beauty. So ultimately, even in one sense, you know, happy birthday to you. Don't take birth again. Don't take birth again. But if you take birth with bhakti, that's okay. That's because you may be used as a conduit to spread the zone of nectar to the others, to those who are asleep to the potential. So this is the nature. So brothers and sisters who are awakening due to the great truth, the great revelation of the great masters, you'll see that we dive deep into that nectar, into that service ourselves, and then we want to extend as we can by example, especially first and foremost, to show that what's possible. You also can be drinking and experiencing this connection with divinity. So acha pracha means practice and connect with the source, divinity, service to Krishna, and then distribute, share that zone of nectar with others. So even to take birth again, no doubt, is in the sense of go back to the spiritual world. But the spiritual world, the higher agents may have you doing the distribution work in another birth, in another world. That's possible. Even great masters are sometimes deputed to go to other realms, systems, universes to spread the glories of the nectar. So connection with the nectar and distributing the nectar, it's the same. So connecting with it and distributing it, you're still connected with the nectar. So ultimately bhakti, once you connect with bhakti, the life of service to the higher, you can be doing that anywhere, anytime, any place, ultimately. So. Hare Krishna. Even the animals and the cats, they are also getting the benefit if they're connected. Because they
definitely my cat is around, so
yeah.
right here.
Oh.
But yeah, he feels it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot to continue to reflect on that. But I get it with the metaphor, the analogy that you made. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, many things will come, but any connection with the field, whether in this world, the higher world, the lower world, any world, when you're connecting to the central harmonizing truth, everything becomes auspicious. See, this is why, you know, Ariana's in New York, I'm in New Zealand, Chelsea's in San Diego, Matavendra's, wherever we are, you see the time, geographical, even despite the fires, the politics, the COVID-19, whatever's going on the phenomena, you can beeline to the current, to the service, to the nectar. So even you know, like the cats, maybe they're thinking of the jelly meat and the biscuits they're about to eat in an hour, but at the moment, if they're around the vibration of the Sangha, if they even, you know, they hear Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're told we'll benefit from chanting Mahamantra, then they also must benefit. So it's any point in connection to the center will create auspiciousness and happiness for all. Yeah, the moving and non-moving. So, and no doubt there'll be levels and depth and stages in that. So like even being instigated, like for instance, we've been instigated to come together in this forum of reflection on the Veda, Bhakti, Krishna consciousness. So we've been sort of nudged to beeline to this for the benefit of inner fulfillment. See, our hankering for fulfillment can take us to any place in the market, but our fortune is that we've been taken to the bhakti market. And what's on offer here is the source, divinity, truth, Veda. So it is.
Mahalakshmi has
Yeah.
joined us.
Yay. Dandavat Hare Krishna. Mahalakshmi. It is true, you know, the Vedas proclaim that this is very high. This is what you'll receive in service to Krishna, Mahaprabhu Radha Krishna. It's very high, it's, you know, it's like all other systems of yoga, theism, religious system are on their way to bhakti. Bhakti, what's revealed in Veda is vast and comprehensive, that's science. So love, you know, divine love is available in the bhakti path. So, and all other spiritual traditions are promoting some connection or movement toward that. So the fulfillment, the nature of the soul, which is Satchidanandam, we're pleasure seeking by nature, by coming in connection with it, you'll be the proof of the pudding. You'll start to work out and feel, oh, okay, I'm connecting, I'm hearing, I hear the chanting, I'm associating with those who are also moving in that direction. How do I feel? What's moving in me? What's feeling is coming? So hence there's a reason why all of us, we all have a similar desire for higher mystical beauty, truth, love, God consciousness. And we're being drawn, we're beelining to the teachings of these great masters. And also not by chance, there's some multi-dimensional background reason for that. But in time, we'll see that reciprocating feeling, that conception. Some taste will come, some clarity, the doubts are clearing gradually, and then more tangible feeling, fulfillment, inner satisfaction is coming through this. That's been my experience. Everyone will have their own feeling. So this is why it's a great fortune, you know, to be allowed the chance to connect with these great teachings. Truth is universal, it's true. All the great teachers are, it's all the same destination, ultimately God, divinity. But it is true, Vedic knowledge is very deep, comprehensive. And in the future chapters, we'll even reference this in regard to Christianity. Christianity is also on its way upward. But then what was revealed? Who is God? What's his name? The science of the great system. Some things are revealed, but not all things. So truth by installments. More, you know. Deep, deeper, deepest. Hare Krishna. See, the English language, we're giving analogy to so many variegated points, but you see the language is trying to establish the line of thought, the fundamental line of thought. Like if I was to say, oh, you sons and daughters of truth, you came from truth, you are truth, don't be satisfied with anything but truth. So that's one expression. Sons and daughters of beauty, you came from beauty, you are beauty, don't be satisfied with anything but beauty. So do you see the like, oh, you sons and daughters of divine pleasure, you came from divine pleasure, you are divine pleasure, don't be satisfied with anything but divine pleasure, fulfillment, nectar. So those in pursuance of God consciousness are wanting to be fulfilled. Yayatma suprasiditi. So it's the expression, the path, the revelation of how to attain that. And so service is the connector. You have to serve, you have to actively sacrifice, serve, and then there's a reciprocating fulfillment coming. Like if you want to eat the apple, you have to serve the movement of raising the hand, take the apple, you consume the apple. You have to masticate, you know, then it goes into your mouth, the tongue. So in service to the higher, there's action required. Even in relationship, to have fulfillment in relationship, you'll have to serve the other party. Like even now, we're serving each other. Hearing, questioning. To speak is a service. To hear is a service. But see, we're serving around the center. This is service to the center, service to Radha Krishna. But say, for instance, we could be serving, Lenin or Trotsky. We could be discussing communistic concepts. Then we'd be serving that ideology and getting maybe something. But we're beeline to the very essence of spiritual esoteric wisdom. And we're serving that and getting some result, no doubt. Like if you serve the cheesecake, you'll get some result. So you have to buy the cheesecake, get the money for the cheesecake, take the cheesecake to the house, get out the knife, and then you serve it to the other friends that are around. Then there's an experience from that service. So whether it's service, so every being is serving and getting a different result. So the Vedas say serve the center, serve the source, and see what will come from that. And this is that attempt. And the Vedas as a service reveal that source is a person, source is Krishna, source is Radha Krishna. So this is the journey back to home, back to serving divine love. It's true, it's a type of mystical magnetism is what's going on. Mystical magnetism. See, because the gold mountain attracts the units of gold. The fact that we're here in the arena of Mahaprabhu's teachings means the golden mountain has attracted us. Lord Chaitanya, through the agents. See, his agents came here, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Sridhar, Srila Govinda Maharaj. So we're here because something's pulling us to the teaching, to each other, to the wisdom. So others think it's a different God they're worshipping. It's the same divine mountain. It's the divine God. God is God. The sun is the sun. So as we chant, practice, get purified, the what's blocking, what's surrounding the golden consciousness, you as a soul, that will wash away, and then the attraction will increase as the doubts are removed, the coal. So inside the diamond is there, the gold nugget is there. Once the coal, so if you have a magnet and you have a piece of coal, and inside the gold, there's some magnetism starts, but if you clear away the coal, quickly the gold nugget will move across the table quickly to the magnet. So the black magnet, Krishna, love, God, truth. So the purification is the removing of the subtle rebellion, conditioning, tendency. But actually the purpose of sadhu sangha is that process. Even right now, it's true, our coal is being shifted. It's being moved, purified. This is why the power of sadhu sangha. So if you chant Maha Mantra, like we can chant together, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's creating purification, removing the non-love, the conditioning, and then more the attraction will develop to Krishna. So units of gold. So keep me searching for a heart of gold. This is our song in some ways.
Thank you, Maharaj. Appreciate it.
Yes. So, the Maha Mantra, the Prasadam, the Sadhu Sangha, the books, every point will purify us. It's true. You see, because the motive of this field, the motive of this group is to connect with the practice. So the hearing and chanting that's going on here, all these, see, the incredible thing, Angela's questions, Ariana, Chelsea, Madhavendra, all, Jayada, everyone's contribution is drawing us into the medicine, the divine medicine. We're reflecting on the great truths from the Vedic perspective. And we are being healed, purified, adjusted in the sadhu sangha. And you'll see that it will increase and accelerate. Like our interest, our feeling. So I know my master, he apparently, he left in 2010, but he's appearing because the masters help us in the service. So therefore, one aspect of guru is the group. The group is acting as the continued mercy of the masters is that we're being drawn together to remind each other of the teachings. So Gurudev's mercy is that we all find each other to help each other to continue under the guide, the divine guides. So the students also play the role of teachers at different stages for each other. You see, like we're learning and reflecting and helping each other. So ultimately, who is the highest guru? Krishna. Krishna is the revealer, the guru, the guide. And so he has many instruments, And in time, as we awaken, we'll also no doubt be used as instruments. So student guru, that becomes interchangeable. Like you can say, I'm a student, and I can say, yeah, student, but you're also my gurus, helping me, inspiring me, instigating my reflection on the great teaching. It's true.
It is really comforting with everything that you say, especially for someone like me that has not been on this beeline for long, to have a sense of, again, comfort and hope and almost like an insurance policy of as long as I am aimed this way, no matter what or to what extent I can help others or the kind of life that I live, the kind of, well, of course, as long as you are aimed and within the boundaries of being a good person, being a good human, but it's comforting to me to know that as long as we are basically aimed and understanding that the devotion in anything we do is what's most important. It's comforting to know that no matter what, we're doing good. That's enough for right now, for this present moment.
For this present moment. Yes, true, the Shravanam Kirtanam. And it will develop. There will be development within that. Like there will be more. So general and then specific, it will come. We'll be drawn into the development of how to serve, how to connect, how to make offering to the higher, to love, beauty, truth, the center. You see, we're part and parcels of the Supreme, and now the journey home has begun. The journey to the divine potential, the journey, so the Bhakti is wanting to establish the best version of you, the perfect, the beautiful, the magnificent, so that whatever you can conceive, the best version of that you can be, Bhakti will usher that and promote that and reveal that and instigate that on every level. That's what the great masters have said, that so the best version of ourselves. So even ourselves will be revealed, our true selves. And we know that the true self is the loving self. See, when you think, I feel really good, and you feel good about yourself, you'll see that it's in a loving state. You're in some good state, nurturing state, healthy, inspired, feeling loving toward others, loving to yourself. So we know that love is connected with truth, with the higher love. It's always there. It's always connected.
My phone is freaking out. I'm driving and it's not working, so I pulled over, but it's so in and out. So on that note, with all that love, I stay with you in that love and see you soon.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jayarti. And yeah, it'd be nice to meet Sailor sometime if it suits you, like as
Okay.
it works. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Krishna, so God is not abstract. The path is not abstract. It initially, when we come, there is much revealed about many things, but ultimately we have to know the knowledge of the great path and the systems and where we are and where we're going. Ultimately, it all is bringing us to love. Love is the key. Krishna is love. God is love. So it's the universal glue. It's the universal language. Every being searches for love. So they're all searching for God, whether they realize or not. God is truth. God is beauty. God is love. God is sweet. Yeah. And we, in essence, are a part and parcel of God. So we are sweet. We are beauty. We are truth also, but in a minute form. So it's like we are gold going back to the golden mountain. But when we live identifying with the coal, and I'm a capitalist, I'm a communist, I'm this, we get lost in the outer. So the Irish say, you're beside yourself. We're living beside ourselves. So bhakti is the path of coming home, coming back to self-realization. You're eternal, you're mystical, you're sweet, you're truth, you're a part of truth, beauty. So bhakti is coming to fulfill all our hankerings, all the hankerings we ever had on any level. It's coming to fulfill those hankerings. I want love, I want this, I want fulfillment, bhakti will give that. I want security, I want warmth, nurture, shelter. Bhakti is coming to give us that. Like last night we were sort of reflecting this point, like all we have to be is a little open, just a little bit, and Krishna will come. Krishna will enter. He'll try and help us. Little open. It's true, we are a little open. For us to be here with each other means we're all a little open. And then gradually little opening becomes more open. And then finally fully open. So faith in stages. Faith is developing here. Like in other words, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say, hang in there, it's not a hoax, it's real. Krishna is real. Bhakti is real. It will fulfill you. Give it time. It's not a hoax. You've hit the transcendental jackpot, the lottery in regard to divine wisdom. This is the most ancient wisdom on the earth, planet, this wisdom. And all other cultures have connection with this great truth. All the other cultures, systems, they have reference to Veda. It's very deep. It's very deep. So the education will be gradual, and you'll see things will become more clear, more revelation will come through the bhakti, Bhagavad Gita, the books, the path. Krishna has appeared in the Kali Yuga as Mahamantra. So God is close to us in the form of sound, this chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. available for all. Be a little open to the gift, Mahamantra. Transcendental sound vibration. This will give you your supreme benefit. Gurudev used to say. Srila Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. Mahamantra. Especially, yeah, receiving from the cyclic succession, that line, great masters. So the Mahamantra, the Prasadam, the devotees, the books, the Sangha, everything is auspicious. Everything will help us. See, your openness.
On that note, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for now, but I'll be happy to join next time, whenever
Beautiful.
that is, as soon as I can.
Big hugs, Deva.
Well, sending all my love and appreciation for everybody's, helpful audience and great questions. And
yay. Hare Krishna. You're muted.
You're
Deva.
muted.
Yes.
Well, you guys, I hope everybody kind of got the feel for my muted, words of blessing.
Always a blessing to have your association, brother. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Until next time. Howdy Bol.
We have a package
Hare
sending your
Hare
way, by
Krishna.
the way. We have a package coming
Giant.
your way. Look in the mail.
Yeah. I'll be on the lookout.
right.
Thank you.
Love you, brother. Take care. Hare Bol.
You're no doubt blessed. All of us have been blessed. To have connection with these great teachings, it's definitely blessing. Srila Sridhar Maharaj would express that, to come to bhakti, to come to the Krishna conception, all movement toward God consciousness is a blessing, and levels of blessing, intensity. It's true. So
Are the Vedas like older than like Lemurian stuff and Atlantis and all of that?
Yeah, older. Vedanta, yeah, oldest. Oldest, even Sanskrit language, the oldest known revelatory language. Jayadev is the expert with the timelines of Veda.
I've heard they said Sumerian too.
Pre-Sumerian, yeah.
Okay, so I'll chime in really quickly. We're still packing and stuff. Lemuria, that was about 12,500 years ago by Pythagoras, Plato, and his guru before him. He gave the timeline for that. It coincides with geological findings. So apparently Atlantis was, it could have been real. At any rate, Atlantis, I believe, was happening during Ram Lila. So Krishna Lila was 5,000 years ago, but the Vedic timeline is cyclical, so it actually kind of doesn't really have a beginning. So in that sense, it's way before Atlantis. Atlantis was during the last age, you could say. The peak of the last age, which would be still a very high vibrational age, which is why they had such advanced technology, crystal flotation, all these cool things, these ability to create these amazing structures based on sacred mathematics.
Dwapara Yuga?
I think it's Dwapara Yuga, yeah. I think it would be the last, so it's 12,500 years ago by Plato's guru, I can't remember his name right now, but his guru's estimation. Apparently he had received a direct download. So in fact, we only know about Atlantis through Plato. And he only knows about it through his guru, whose name I can't remember right now. But anyways, my point is that would be 12,500.
Socrates? No.
It was like, not Socrates, it's someone lesser known, but something like, it might have been. But anyways, yeah, I kind of got into this stuff because I do study ancient sites and ancient structures and how they relate, and the geology of the planet and how it actually affirms that timeline. And I'm not going to go too far down that portal. Look up Graham Hancock. He's a really good source for that. Graham Hancock, YouTube, look it up. Anyways, my point was, yeah, it would be Dwapara Yuga, the one right before Kali Yuga, but it'd be in the middle of it.
Yeah, because Ram Lila 5 million years before, 5 million. So Vedic culture, the old, very old, and then Yudhisthira Maharaj being the king of the world, where at one time the land masses were all connected, one landmass surrounded by many oceans. And then at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, the theory that the land masses shifted, then there was different language, and then the gradual sort of dilution of the Vedic culture or wisdom. And that's why similar connection with various cultures.
Oh yeah, while you're bringing that up, so hey everybody, trip out on this. In the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Vedic culture, it says that at one point, all of the nations were in one island, and the sea surrounded that island. Everything else was sea, one island, and it split into 7 separate gigantic islands. Has anyone here ever heard of Pangaea? Pangaea. So in our Western kind of geological prehistoric history, it's understood that it was all one continent, and the continent slowly drifted apart. And you can actually see where South America fits into that little cradle in Africa, and how Europe interfaces perfectly with Maine and the whole thing. So they've kind of, quote, proven that all the continents were originally one landmass. So the Srimad Bhagavatam's like, we knew that. In fact, we know who the king was that ruled that single continent. We knew, so Indian culture knew about this thousands of years ago, that all all continents were one gigantic island that split into 7. We just discovered that maybe like, I don't know, 150 years ago. Not even that, probably like, 150 years ago. Something to think about.
Yes, a very old, ancient. We know that Sanskrit is the language spoken by the demigods also. Sanskrit language, very old. Prior to me coming to the Great Path of Bhakti, I at that time I didn't Google, but I went to the library to look under the encyclopedia, like what is Veda? Veda is the oldest known religious text on the planet, spiritual text, Vedanta, Veda. And then, theologians who study theism have looked at, done comparative religious study and seen incredible correlation and symbiosis between ideologies relating back to Vedic theory, Vedic conception, gods, goddesses, higher planets, lower planets, reincarnation, yoga system. So yeah, the connection through Veda, it's clear. And even language, like, there are, the word Hari Hari is used in Māoridom, there's all sorts of terms, like in the Swedish language, the word is used, om. It's, many remnants left of that original culture, and we know Angkor Wat, Cambodia, Vietnam, many factors, even physical evidence of the Vedic civilization. But so that's the past. What's exciting now is that we're even given premonition of the future. General Bhakti, or this realm, this earthly system, may again come under Vedic, or enlightened consciousness or awareness. So there's great hope. And this is why Bhakti is not a conversion, but an awakening of what exists fundamentally in our consciousness.
I recently just watched the first episodes of this guy named Matthias De Stefano on Gaia, and he was this kid who was at 3 years old already tapping into the Akashic records and drawing ancient cities and things as a little 3-year-old. And he has memory of 3 past lives, and one of them was even, I think, I forget how many millions of years ago it was. And he says that Earth was created 6,000 million years ago, and he has memories of these different dimensions, and the way he explains it and the words he has names that he recollects and all these different things. And I'm curious if anyone here watches it, what has a crossover to Veda.
Well, see, in the sense also that multiverse, it's true. Some jiva, some souls, human, can have recollection of previous experiences. So we wouldn't immediately, we're not skeptics, we don't doubt, because Veda does reveal that yes, there are many, many systems, 400,000 humanoid species. So many systems, you know. So the idea of the Galactic Federation and this planetary system and that humanoid, this recollection from a previous system, even in another universe, multiverse, all of that is possible. But again, still awareness conception within the material Brahmanda. So yes, like higher planets, middle planets, lower planets.
And I just want to chime in to say that the fact that he's even able to use the word akasha is a Sanskrit word. So that he's even using Sanskrit to refer to a plane of existence. So he's, again, this is showing that the Sanskrit is kind of like a universal, if he's for real, he's actually validating the position of Sanskrit as a universal energetic language by referencing it to refer to the Akash.
He says he has memories of even before, like Lemurian stuff and Pleiades and stuff, and he describes the dimensions and like that they're all simultaneous at the same time, but they're like all happening, and it's just your perspective and awareness. There's really a lot of interesting ideas, and I would love you guys to watch it and tell me what you think about it and what is in alignment with our teachings or just the whole Bhakti field. Bhakti.
Yeah, we have I've no doubt, you know, different, I know many Western Bhakti yogis, they tend to sort of immediately dismiss, but in the sense that if they can't reference it within Vedic text, but the thing is, even what's revealed in Vedic text, is there more? Yes, because we do have description in Vedic, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, of other systems, general, but they're variegated and vast. And some systems and humanoids existing in those planes more progressed in divination than others. So, you know, ultimately in context to, is that person having that dynamic revelation? Are they presenting that they are in order to develop followers? And yeah, there's many, everything has to be seen in context, but the general healthy, matured approach is that the Veda does give revelation within the Bhakti field. It gives credence and acknowledgement of these systems. So if someone is getting privy to that, that may genuinely be the case. And so we have no opposition or, you know, sort of, we won't discard, because it's, many things the Veda is revealing, both within and without the Brahmanda. So the Veda is also showing what's outside of the matrix. So that's even more. That who's revealing that. That's why in many ways, you know, higher planetary systems for humans, of course, are big things. You know, it's like other systems, higher beings, cities, civilizations that are far more advanced. But the spiritual state, the liberated state, that's another level altogether. That's like perfected beings, you know, who are even existing outside of the higher quantums. So the demigods we have one Bhagavatam revealed here, and the demigods have other Bhagavatam. So yeah, it's all possible within the great Veda, because Veda means to know, conceivable and inconceivable. So in our pranam mantra to our own master, we would say, you are the knower of conceivable and inconceivable Vedic wisdom. There is even Vedic revelation that's not conceivable. and that may be known to. It is true, you know, no doubt even these great Vaishnava masters, what they have seen or felt or what's been revealed, they may not reveal that to us, depending, because we might get sidetracked with what they're experiencing or feeling. What they are revealing is the essential journey back to the liberated, the devotion to the Supreme. But there are many, what's the word, you can stop off along the way. There are many systems, realms. And no doubt some jivas, some will stop off in different planetary systems or realms, depending on their desire. But it is true. It's all, and even the lower planetary systems, subterranean, heavenly realms, many systems. So, you know, the whole alien conspiracy theory, for us in the Bhakti field, we're fully, yes, of course, alien, definitely. We're not skeptics at all. It's all contained within Veda. Even including lower entity, demon, you know, lower vampire, Satan.
The way I understand the Vedic timeline for incarnation on this planet of humanoid entities is it clocks out at like 2 billion years. Planet's 4 billion years old. And the Vedas say that humans have been on this planet for 2 billion years in this particular, and that's just this particular expression of this planet. So what this person's saying it's actually kind of a small part of the human history. It sounds impressive from our standpoint, but the Vedas say 2 billion years humanoids have been on this planet, and that we've gone through a yuga cycle of ages. And in that 2 billion mark, humans lived, I think, what was it, Maharaj, like 10,000 years their incarnation? They're like
in such a yuga, 100,000 human
years, human incarnation.
Yeah.
So that's how humans were 2 billion years ago.
Yeah. So
and then yeah. So and then oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, just 100,000 for in the golden era, in the Satya Yuga, and then 10,000 years in one body, 10,000 human years in the Treta Yuga. In the Dwapara Yuga, the previous age, 1,000. So Moses and many of those personalities in BC, before Christ.
Also the Lemurians and Atlanteans also would be in that category. They'd live 1,000 years.
1,000 human year in one body. And for us, Kali Yuga, 100 maximum, 100. Maybe some rare soul, 110, 120. So even the Veda gives definition of years in one form, humanoid form.
Why does it keep decreasing?
Because of we're in the spiritual winter. We're in the spiritual winter. So everything is sort of limited, more limited in the Kali Yuga. Knowledge is limited, lifespan limited. So the great benediction in the Kali Yuga is the Golden Lord appearing 500 years ago, actually, to give special benediction to the souls who are contracted in the Kali, influence of Kali. So we get special benediction of elevator straight to beyond the upper system back home in Kali Yuga. Hariyanama, Hariyanama, Hariyanama eva kevalam, kalona stevana stevana steva gataranyata. That through no other way, through bhakti, through Mahamantra, you'll get promotion to the highest position for the soul, spiritual molecule gets chance to enter the highest leela of the Supreme in Kali Yuga. So it's tough in the Kali Yuga, but Krishna's kind. He gives the supreme benediction to the souls who are a little open to return back home, back to Godhead. So this is why Swami Maharaj Prabhupada would express Saraswati Thakur revealed in Veda, the demigods and the higher planetary systems are wanting to come to the earth as we speak to get chance to return back to home, back to Godhead. So the Bhakti Yoga masters that we're now under training from, many beings are taking birth to get that opportunity. So even gods, goddesses are willing to take the austerity of coming into human form, into the womb for 9 months, and to come into the madness that we see, you know, Trump's in charge, so many things, in order to get the chance for spiritual evolution within the Bhakti fields. It's true. Bhakti is...
Could you talk a little bit, Maharaj, about how in the higher heavenly planets, life is much longer, life is much easier, but how that actually can impair the ability to progress in bhakti, and why would they want to come from this really comfortable, long life, super, easy existence? Why would they want to come to this, pardon my vernacular, I won't say it, I'll say poop hole. Why would they want to come to this poop hole of the material world out of this heavenly existence? Like, what's the disadvantage of being in heaven relative to being here?
Yeah, so in the higher planetary systems, there's explanation of, the rivers of mangoes, the demigods live long lives. So they're intoxicated in the gold handcuff and the heavenly pleasures, but still it's the material system, still it has beginning, middle, and end. But see, the opportunity in bhakti is to return back to home, back to Godhead, to get ultimate emancipation, ultimate freedom, the highest high, beyond what they can experience. So whatever is experienced there in intoxication and material pleasure, even though it's incredible compared to human, what's on offer through bhakti is trillions of times higher in the ultimate fulfillment of connection with truth, beauty, love, divinity. This is why the opportunity of bhakti is Brahmanda Brahmatikunda Bhagavan Jiva, that the soul wanders, the Brahmanda, the universe. The chance for the bhakti seed is very, very rare. It's considered that. And Mahaprabhu, he came so that the followers of Mahaprabhu who are giving this is supreme benefit. This is super supreme benefit. So much so that even the gods and goddesses, the demigods, want to come here. Because you see, even though they have their punya, they have their pious credits, they have big bank accounts in regard to their punya, pious credits. Eventually it runs out. It's still temporary. They're still within the cycle of sansar, birth, death, old age, disease, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. But so bhakti is the ultimate solution, the final solution, the supreme solution for the soul to get the chance back to Goloka, back to the eternal realm. So, but it's incredible because, like a marketplace, there's many things on offer. This is why be a little open. Look at the prospect that's on offer through bhakti. It's, high, very high. It's true, these children that are coming, that are being born, that are, even many of us, we ourselves may have previously come from higher planetary systems for this chance. And we've taken birth. That's the fact also.
What's the bhakti seed that you were mentioning?
Just
the desire?
The bhakti seed is the connection to the dara, to the disciplic succession that plants the seed of faith in all that we're discussing here. All that we're discussing in this field is coming from the super heavyweights of bhakti. So it's like a gradual education. So that the seed is the birth of faith in the teachings that are distributed and revealed through the great masters, the seed of faith. So the seed is planted by these teachers to awaken our love of God, love of Lord Chaitanya, love of Radha Krishna. But of course it's coming in what appears to be a relative way. So like, you see someone like in 1965, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada came into the West, an Indian man. I think he stood 5'4", 5'4", no, 5'5", I think, Srila Prabhupada. And you know, for those who had previously, you know, what they had understood Vedas to be, or yoga was, or what the path of transcendence was, he created a revolution in consciousness, and wanted to establish the Krishna conception, what's on offer through Lord Chaitanya. So when theologians make comparative study between, you know, higher, highest, it's true that, you know, what's being revealed in Upanishad, Bhagavatam, Veda, it's very high. Compared to other systems of truth, revelation, it's incredibly comprehensive, deep. So even the experts of theism come to this understanding. What to speak of those who get the opportunity to be a little open to the prospect. And you'll see, you know, your own awakening, that what's happening here through bhakti. It's very deep. Actually, we can't conceive. We even what you perceive to be the bhakti field, what you perceive to be Krishna consciousness, it will be constantly changing as your vision deepens. So as the coal is removed, you'll come to conclude, oh my God, this is big. This is a tidal wave of divinity coming at me. So it becomes a gradual perception, divine perception. So the seed is the connection. To receive Maha Mantra in these lineages that's on offer now through these great teachers, masters, this is even beyond the higher planetary system. So what can be perceived in the very highest planetary system, this is a wisdom, this is connection outside of that. See, this is why it's inconceivable, because it's actually never been given before. As souls, we haven't been in the Bhakti field, or we may have been, but the Goloka planet, the relationship with Krishna is the new prospect. Bhakti and Mukti have been previously we've connected with. Bhakti is like movement in the Brahmanda, and Mukti, the Nirvana, the Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence of Krishna we've entered into and come from. But the prospect to Goloka, Krishna consciousness, personal relationship with the supreme entity, this is the new. This is why it's you know, no doubt it'll take some time for that revelation to comprehend what's happening here. Actually, the seed's already being planted. It's like already that started. It's just and it's gradually being revealed. What we're connected with here, folks, is it's the biggest. It's enormous. It's the magnitude of this is many lifetimes will be in pursuance of this. It's the divine truth, but stages by installment. Even you go to other theistic conceptions or feeling, nothing will compare. You'll see. You can do your own analysis. Your feeling will guide you. Your feeling will reveal to you, yes, whatever's going on here, this is something unprecedented. And so not only is a human coming into this awareness, but the gods and goddesses, because they can perceive what happens here in the human realm, they also know that this is the major league of transcendentalism, the major league. See, even the word major league doesn't quantify. What can we say? Supreme benefit, the highest of the high. But in time, you'll see, in time. As all of us, we're in like revelation, more revelation, high revelation, super revelation, supreme revelation, absolute revelation. More's coming. So we're told that the gods in the higher planets, they're viewing the earth realm now in the Kali Yuga and wanting that chance. So the humans want the chance, We're open for that chance, and many others are open for that chance. And even those who are coming from lower realms, they know that they're searching for this chance to break the cycle of their conditioning and lower nature. Actually, many beings from many previous positions within the Brahmanda are meeting in the earth realm at this time to get this chance. I used to feel that when in the darshans with Srila Govinda Maharaj, I knew that it's not just human coming into the arena. Even in the subtle, in the conscious subtle levels, they're coming into the field for their development. Subtle entities also, many different type. Astral, they come into the astral. This is why in Vedic culture we leave the doors open, because beings are coming and going on different levels to learn, to hear, to connect. So what's being revealed through these masters, this is, you know, a supreme PhD of transcendentalism. And gradually it will, this knowledge will become one with you. In time, you'll see all these things will become one with you, because it's there deep in the heart. The original consciousness is Krishna consciousness. It's just laying dormant. So what's happening now, it's all being activated stage by stage, level by level. And there's also a reason why specifically you as souls and me and all of us are in the mix together in the learning. That's also not by chance. There's some mystical reason for that. There's background history. We all have background history. That's a fact. Gurudev expressed that once, which, you know, our brains were melting to hear that. He said, because this specific lineage, he said, generally many lifetimes of already in bhakti to have come to this. Many lifetimes we've been in pursuance of these truths. This is why there's a familiarity in the language and the feeling and in the reflections. There's something like for us here in this field, this is not alien talk. For others, this is completely alien, trust me. They'll be like, huh? What are you guys even reflecting here? But for us, this is like, I get it. I feel you. Why? Because it is true, you know, that Srila Prabhupada, he, you know, it's many lifetimes to have come to this. And already, and what is being shared, there's many lifetimes more to come in depth. But ultimately, yeah, love, divine love. Radha Krishna, the supreme being, that like the full veil is going to be lifted, revealed. You know how you can feel, oh my God, like I can feel this is big, this is vast, this is oceanic. Those feelings will sometimes come into your quantum. You'll be, okay, like, So, do you feel like I do? It is true that like Gurudev in his presence, I know that he was allowing us to feel what he was feeling sometimes. And then it's like the feeling was transferred momentarily or at different points, and we could sort of, we were tuning into the universal current and feeling, you know, oh my God, this is big, this is high. So this is why when the hippies came, like when around Prabhupada, they like stay high forever. In his presence, they were being transported to higher states, just in his presence. That's why they were like, oh, this is, because, you know, they previously were on LSD and peyote and cactus, and they were right out there, different, like rubber soul, the universe, you know. So they were, yeah, so bhakti is, it's deep. Even when we pray, you know, We're invoking them into the presence right here. If they choose to turn up, you're going to be forever changed. Your consciousness will be, they'll connect you with their consciousness. That's why we invoke the great mist. We're invoking the heavyweights of the universal consciousness to enter to the field. We've asked them to come in. So, you know, when people write those books, communion, communion with the people are like channeling the aliens. So we're channeling more than alien. We're invoking and praying for communion with perfected entities, the divine associates of the higher. So we're being, you know, literally worked over, and in the best possible way. Mystical, you know. It's like there's a natural mystic blowing through the air. If you listen carefully, then you will hear natural mystic blowing.
I'm going to say good night to everyone. Thank you so much.
Oh, Christina, yeah, I mean, thank you so much, you know, helping me to reflect and continue the mystical, the eternal, the sweet.
Night,
We're all
everyone.
helping each other, you know.
Hey, Krishna.
Yeah. All right, Christina, we'll see you soon in the cosmic suit. And big hugs, lots of love. And Krishna bless you.
Thank you. Good night. Or good day.
All right, folks, what's that? That's 3 hours, 6 minutes. I think so, 3 hours. We've been...
Yes.
Sometimes it is good to, you know, reflect. What do you feel in Bhakti? How do you feel in the satsangs? Like like Arti the other day, she was expressing how she's been feeling the last few months with what we're attempting to do here. And it is very, Bhakti is transformative. It's definitely, it's subtle. You won't always understand how you're changing and shifting, but it is mystical like that. It's true. It's often in separation. Sometimes you may feel while in the field, but actually you're always in the field. You're always in the field. What's reflected in our groups, you'll carry with you. Because what we're reflecting upon is the same potency and consciousness that powers the moon, the stars, that keeps your heart beating in your chest. We're connecting with divine source. So it's within, without. It's here, it's everywhere. So even what we reflect or what points come up, that will be part of each of our divine education. When we close off and we leave the meeting, we'll take something of what's shared here with us until the next meeting. You'll reflect it in your own consciousness, with the cat, with your parents, with the environment, with the trees. This will color everything. It is coloring everything. You're coming into the awareness that love it's everywhere and nowhere, depending on where your dial is. It's always everywhere, but it's up to how we're perceiving. So Bhakti is adjusting our dial into reality, always. Seeing things for what it truly is. Everything is moving by the will of Krishna.
May I share what I feel? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have no camera today, so I feel connected to absolutely everything. That's what I really have come to the conclusion, that everything is, I am part of everything and everything is part of me. So it's like there's a connection to the tiniest dust grain of sand. Like it's like I'm connected to everything. That's how I feel.
Vasudev conception. One and different. Yeah, because our very nature is like the Brahman is everywhere, everything connected. Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavaniti Sabjate. So yeah, all stages, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, the connection to it all, but simultaneously different at the same time. Then Paramatma, some will have awareness of the Lord in the heart also, directing and communing with us. There's always do you always feel there's someone accompanying you always? There's you and there's something else with you. It's God, Krishna. So many things will come, many feelings. That's why sometimes it's good to write down your feelings, your reflections. Happy to do that. Then you can share something. Oh, I felt this and these points. Like a transcendental diary, a diary of your feelings and movement in bhakti can be a good thing. You're very, a powerful, potent process. Bhakti. Mystical. Gurudev said specifically this line. I've always felt that it's very mystical. It's mystical. I'm sometimes bewildered myself about everything, how everything is happening. Even meeting you all is also part of that mystery. How that happens, I don't know. Something, some higher arrangements,
Yeah, I feel like it's made me like more centered, and I feel like I'm more open to like listening, and I'm kind of being more in tuned or with my own intuition in a way, and just like being more open to like learning things and like from you or anyone in the Zoom, of course, but like just like the planet in general. Like I feel like I have more positive experiences since starting this path, and I feel more confident like in the choices I'm making in my daily life because of it.
Yeah, awesome. See, students, actually, one thing that you'll see what's being invoked here is very much we're all be open as students, and a student means more will come, more divine revelation. Students on how to evolve, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, like open to the support. See, when we block ourselves off, I don't need to learn, I've got a handle on things, then of course we block the further revelations, the further downloads. So student mode means more downloads. But see, we are specifically open as students to the truth, to beauty, to love, to divinity. So divinity will be fully aware. Krishna is fully aware of that feeling within us, our openness. So then, of course, he'll reveal that the great wisdom will descend, no doubt. Because that's part of the surrender and be open to the great truth. And revealed truth. It's been studied. Many experts have studied and gone over all the revelations to establish, yes, correct. So it's the opinion and view of divine experts have again and again given divine certificate to all aspect of what we're discussing. What we're overviewing in these books has been studied by multiple experts, gurus, teachers, and they can find no fault. It's an absolute knowledge, perfect. And these are, the rishis, sages, the experts of theism have concluded, yes, this is it's truth. But then the taking up or the assimilation, you'll begin to feel intuitively, deeply, yes. Even to the point where, yes. No point in my journey in the Vedic in Vedic pursuit, have I ever felt no? I've not been able, no part of my intellect, no part of my inner intuition has gone, oh no, this can't be correct. Sometimes there'll have been my perception or the way I viewed it has had to be adjusted in context, but it's all yes. Jenna the other day, like the last couple of months, she was going, I don't know what it is, but intuitively I've said no to many things. But in this field of bhakti, whatever's being revealed here, I just feel yes to it all. And I thought, very interesting, because this is what captured me in Veda, my intuitive feeling, because prior to Veda, I was saying yes and no to many things. I could feel, hold on, brother, seriously? Like, this can't be correct. I could feel it. And then others would reinforce, yeah, this is off the wall. This is off the charts. But with the Vedic wisdom, it's only ever been yes. So then it's like, where is this knowledge coming from? It must be coming from an absolute divine truth. See, we're told that, but then your own God-given intuition, which is the supersoul, will concur, yes, yes. This is why we go Jai means yes. Jai Vishnupad Paramahans. The masters are carrying the big yes, the absolute truth. And this is why you can debate, you can question, you can have doubt, and you'll see it'll all gradually be cleared. See, absolute knowledge can conquer absolutely with the yes, because it's coming from the higher, from the supreme. But relative truth, no, you'll see, you'll go into conflict with it, because it'll be of a mixed, it'll be partial truth. So then you'll, not sure about that. Your own intuition. So that's why, trust your heart, trust your intuition. When I came to the field of bhakti, and especially, the embodied representatives, these great masters, I knew this is for real. This is the real deal. This is something beyond the relative. This is not a relative truth. This is absolute. And hence, 34 years in pursuance. But I'm only one of thousands, tens of thousands. We are, 9 of us here, but there are, a billion people in India concur that the Vedanta, Krishna is the supreme entity. But tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Westerners have come to the same conclusion. And very, like some of the greatest Western skeptics have overviewed this and eventually gone, I surrender. And I'm talking serious skeptics, giants of the intellect who have sort of gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, done independent comparative study, and all just eventually gone, boom.
It's a very easy to surrender magnetism. And I like what you said about Jenna, that she will find herself saying yes. And I see that for me, and also the neutrality achieved, the lack of judgment, that has been a tangible change.
Yeah, almost where she said, I knew when she first met Prahlad and he was presenting, Bhagavatam and the conception of Veda, she just, whatever this is, it forever changed her. And although at that time, she was probably, sort of coming to terms with what is it that I'm feeling. Now it's, you see, because once you're a little open to that great truth, it's coming for you. It wants to reveal. So love loves love, you see. You come to realize I'm a part of something great, something big. You're part and parcel of God. So once you're open to that prospect, then the higher will come for you and reveal. It's sort of like, I'm not sure if I believe in breathing. And then it's like, hold on, I've been believing in breathing my whole life because I've been breathing my whole life. So it's, now you're just coming into see, that's an absolute truth. You're breathing. So Veda is like breathing. It's sustaining your existence, your life. So See, relative truth is where there can be variegated opinion. Veda's not an opinion. It's, yeah, and in time you'll see it's not relative truth. It's of an absolute nature. Anyway, interesting, because her own reflection, like whatever's being expressed here, I just believe it all. I just say yes to it all. And I said, well, that's interesting, Jenna, because I've only ever been saying yes the last 34 years. I also couldn't find any fault. I couldn't. This is why because, I used to get triple A's in science. I was the skeptic. I analyzed everything. I'm an Aquarian. I analyze everything to pieces, again and again, everything. My consciousness is, I'm an analyzer and analyze deeply. And I couldn't find any wrong. I couldn't contest it. Even my own intuitive feeling was just, this is, whatever this is, I've just got to say yes. I have to be a student in front of, whatever's in front of me now, I have to be a student because it's way bigger than me. It's deeper, it's divine, it's otherworldly, it's high. But it wasn't, but I knew in its essence, it's highly benevolent. It's love, it's highly benevolent. It's God, it has to be God. But we're told it's God. Yeah, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare. Even hearing Mahamantra, I knew, what is this mantra, the sound? The first feeling I had was, this is an eternal echo. It's a sound in eternity. I had this feeling like my quantum was just, I suddenly was taken to an eternal state through the mantra. So that was my first feeling of it. And then I got these warm, fluffy feelings after chanting Mahamantra. Then I thought, so it's eternal. That's the first feeling I get. And it's love. It's loving. So God is loving, so it must be God. And I'm being captured by it, that feeling. So.
I want to share something about what, Ariana is definitely my guru as well, but I really appreciated what she said. Like all y'all in this group are, but Anhala had said something about her experience with kirtan that I just remember all the time about. Anyway, she could share her experience about her coming to the path if she wants. It's really inspiring.
So what I felt and what I share after we had been singing the Mahamantra, and this was in the middle of our retreat, so in the middle of the week, right? We're eating the right things, amongst the right company, doing the right stuff, inspire, and then we're singing this, and all of a sudden, I felt this deep love coming to me. And what I felt was that I was being loved. I received love, pure love, for the first time in my entire life. I felt loved at a soul level. And I was hooked. Yeah. It was just like that.
Can I mention one other thing? Because I remembered I was there and I was deeply moved. What you said is, I'm always giving love out. And for the first time in my life, I feel I'm finally getting love back. Do you remember that?
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
You blew my mind.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's even more beautiful. Like, finally, I'm getting a little tiny bit back.
You said it.
Awesome. So these are beautiful reflections. I mean, this is why it's so deep, so vast, so mystical, incredible, because so many they've been moved deeply by bhakti. This is why, the necessity of continuing in a matured way to maintain that, so this is why those representing or trying to share or teach bhakti must really deeply come into the essence of what it truly is. It's love. So loving dealings, loving expression, loving teachings, a loving vision toward each other. So God is love. Prasadam Mahamantra. All points on the field are purifying us, connecting us, fulfilling us. It's just, there is no limit to the surrender to love. Sometimes I think, like, there's no limit. There's more. There's no saturation point, transcendental. Anyway, and I'm very happy because I feel inspired to surrender more to love and your loving company, to Krishna. So.
Can I share that just being here, I don't even have to interact, or I don't have to, I just feel good being here. And, I'm quiet here, or every once in a while I have my questions and things, but just being here feels good. And that's coming back. It feels really good. It feels love, like, they were saying. So I just wanted to share that it's good to be here.
And Fluffy likes to be here. Oh.
And yes, I love all of you.
That's good. Yeah, very blessed. And the eternal gratitude, like that's why Gurudev, try as you can, give more, give your energy, give your time to the chanting, to the Sangha. Like, it's true, today we got the privilege of giving some time for the seva. This is a service, like Krishna's pleased with. A fundamental part of the service is to hear and to chant, to discuss the great topics, sadhu sangha, discuss the truth and the association. This will be of great benefit. Many ways by which we can engage in service, cooking, cleaning, connect everything with the service to Krishna. Incredible, isn't it, that the Hari Katha, the discussions, are a service. And then there's cooking service and cleaning service, chanting on the bead service. There's distributing, like, even to distribute this awareness, like we could be engaged. And like, imagine as like if 9 of us were on tour and we decided, okay, we're going to travel and set up discussions and like have meetings and invite. See, to distribute is also a great service. Making logos, taking this to radio, questions and answers. I mean, it's vast. We'll be busy forever. How we can distribute this awareness. Like a festival, we can have discussion, like 3 things. These discussions in whatever forum, on a stage or in a group, hire a hall, New York, Chicago, Detroit, and then cook a beautiful vegetarian feast, offer the food, then that's another aspect of the distribution. And then kirtan. Those 3 things will liberate the world. Will change the consciousness of all beings, no matter how contracted. This wave, the bhakti wave, can transform all. Love will heal all. Love will shift all, transform all. So this is why chant, dance, take prasadam. Very simple, but very powerful. Jai Hari Kirtana Nartana Vartana Kali Malakartana Jai Oh Hey. The influence of Kali will run by the Hari Kirtan. So yeah, very powerful, made very easy in the Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga. Go Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. 100 mridangas, you know, thousands chanting that. That wave being sent out creates a great wave of love. Prema bhakti jaha hoiti avadavana sajati. Love emanating. Hare Krishna. All right, good folks. Well, I've tried, today, that's 2:30 in the afternoon. I've had drink. I had orange juice and some tea. So now I need to probably have a piece of toast and something physical into the machine. Some prashadam. So, yeah, always such great privilege, and thank you so much for, you know, Chintamani, Jayadev, and everyone arranging these Zoom meetings, these forums. It's always a great blessing. I'm seeing you all as the sunshine, and I'm praying that I'm receiving the love and your blessing as a panel, you know, for my own development. We all get by, we all get to the higher with a little help from our friends. Little help, some help, lots of help through each other.
It's my honor, and I thank you for your time, your dedication, your light, your love.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you all for. We'll all journey together. We'll all journey together. Look at this. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langa tegaram yat kripa tamaham bande paramananda madhavam. By the mercy of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, a dumb person can speak eloquently, a blind person can see, and the lame can cross mountains. Those who are lame can cross mountains. Everything becomes, what is impossible becomes possible through love, through bhakti, through Krishna consciousness. It's true.
Hare Krishna.
All right, darling souls, well, lots of love and big hugs, and thank you so much for your time and, yeah, for the great reflections.
Hare Krishna. We'll see you on your Friday morning, our Thursday evening.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And, you know, for anyone that feels inspired in the middle of the night, we have our, I think you mentioned Tuesday morning, Thursday morning, we have our other book club going on. Yes.
Yeah, we had a person who prior messaged me. He said that they're really interested to go attend in the middle of the night, that they're awake at that time. So we'll have to encourage the Aussie crew to send out a reminder or whatever. A live now link would be great if you want to encourage whoever our organizers, our Aussie organizers who are attending to do that. That'd be great. And thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Gurudev.
Yes.
We appreciate your time.
So Ariana, Angela, Sudarshan, Chintamani, Madhavendra, Sankalpa, Alicia, Jade, Prabhu, big hugs, lots of love. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you soon. Dandavats.
Dandavats.
Dandavats, Gurudev.
No, Jai Gurudev.
Jai Govinda Maharaj.